Well, I mean, they just look like regular video game.
Yeah.
Why is it working? Okay, say something.
Something.
Okay, good enough. All right, I'm getting a.
I did what you told me to.
All right, and now we are live.
Ah, gotcha.
I just wanted to get the audio working. What the hell is this not working? All right, but yeah. So.
Oh yeah, I see the Matrix video you were talking about.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but like I just someone reminded me. Oh, it's probably a promotional material for the new movie. Like, oh yeah, I forgot that exists.
So Star Wars, the Star Wars one is going to be called Eclipse, and it takes place in the High Republic era.
Time I hear High Republic, that 70s high. We're the High Republic, man.
Oh, they're going to do a Golem.
It's kind of like Star Trek Discovery. Like, what did you think people were gonna call it? Because if it wasn't, if you didn't think STD, then all right. Anyway, shall we begin with stuff?
Sure. I'm just trying to find this one title so I could say what it actually was. I know it was towards the end of the show. But go on. I'll interrupt when I find it.
Good. So yeah, everyone, welcome to episode 49. 49 of Cast in the Shadows. Damn, we've done 49 of these. Why? So, obviously, as always, on the docket is Star Citizen. Got a lot this week. Pretty much all the news we got was immediately after last week's episode. So, let's see. First off, we have patch notes for Alpha 3.15.1 post event. So post Free Fly and post IAE. A little hot fix patch. So anti-easy cheat has now been enabled, as I'm sure many that play Star Citizen have noticed. You log into Star Citizen, launch the game, and now you have a easy cheat with a new loading screen and everything like that. The anti-easy cheat Star Citizen currently has some known tools that will no longer function. Some working on looking into getting work for future updates. So it's pretty much it's anti-easy cheat. It does hurt some modding tools because of that. Obviously, some of those tools are no longer going to work, but the idea of it was to stop some of those tools from because people were for other various purposes. Known to work is Reshade version 4.9.1 requires rename xgi.dll to 11. There.
So the video that I was talking about, Hellblade 2, Senusa's Saga. The graphics on that thing are freaking amazing. I just wanted to point that out.
So yeah, we got So they're pretty much reshade will still work, voice attack will still work, joystick gremlin version 13. Thrustmaster target will still work, track IR will still work, open track will still work, and game glass will still work. Tools, third-party tools that will not work with Star Citizen anymore. Dev reorder, localization tools, Linux, Wine, and other plus tools won't work. LED lighting, VGA precision, and Vortex. So those aren't going to work anymore. But everything that you're probably using anyways, like the things that normal Star Citizen players are probably using, like Shade, or I know a lot of the guys in the photography club, telephoto, Shutterbugs there are actually guys like us want to get into voice attack, but I haven't yet. That's still going to work. Track IR still works. Glass obviously still. That's the biggest one. Everyone. Game glass now.
I would say don't bother with voice attack until they have figured out what all the controls are going to be. Otherwise, you're basically going to be doing the same amount of work that you do to reset all your controls every patch wipe. You're going to be doing that twice. So, if you really want to do it, go for it. But if you're not a hardcore gamer really wanting the best while you're playing these patches, I would say don't bother doing it. It's a lot of work to reset everything.
Yeah, and also that CIG is working on their own version of voice attack, and we have no idea how that's going to work.
True.
What's the implement?
Yeah,
I'd say just wait just so that you can compare, because one's going to be self, the other one you have to separately. It might this way you can wait for it, see which one's financially better, functionality better, and compare and
will
contrast.
They make it sound like Captain Picard?
No,
That's
Captain Kirk. I don't think they have a Patrick Stewart one.
That's my point. Because voice attack already has Kirk, so
right.
CIG will grab.
They also
Picard
have Brett Spiner, Data.
Yep. Yeah, they got a lot. I mean, voice attack has some really good voices.
Some Battlestar Galactica guys, I think.
What's her name?
Sakic.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much just the patch notes revolving PC anti-cheat. So pretty much all your normal tools are going to work. Shade, voice attack, game glass, all your tracking, but everything else.
I just hope that they stay on top of it. In other words, as the community and the technology advances, they keep updating it. Just so that it still allows people the access that's necessary for good gaming, but still blocks the hackers. I just don't want it to be where, hey, we implemented it, and then they never touch it for the next 5 years, and people are going, hey, I can't play this game because you won't update the your software
because that's the
whatever.
thing with anti-easy. The only other game I've played that has it is Halo: The Master Chief Collection. To my knowledge, they kind of 343 there have kind of just made it a done thing. Horrible for the mod. If you want to play mods, you have to play the game with anti-disabled. But for the modders, every time they update the game, not anti-easy, but the game itself, they have to essentially remake their mods in order to work with the new version of the new build of the game. For 3. Paying for all the modding community. I was working on mods, and I'm like, great. Now I have to, because you even have to re-download some of the tools because they didn't work until now when they official modding tools. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So I hope CIG, being CIG, is more like, hey, we're gonna keep on this, update it along with the patch and alpha build of the game, all integrated as one. Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or we're gonna treat it the same quality as we do. hopefully.
Hopefully. My only main experience with anti-cheat software is through Arma 3 and the servers.
Right.
And my experience has been that it's kind of like hit or miss. Like basically when I go onto an Arma server that has it, I just kind of expect a random 50-50. If I get suddenly just bumped off and it's like, oh, the anti-cheat detected something and bumped you out. I'm like, huh, that's funny because I don't run cheat stuff. So it's like, to me, what's the point of playing a game that you're going to cheat on? Like, that's just pointless, but that's my own personal view. But so my experience is that the anti-cheat software sometimes messes up and kicks me out and I'm not doing anything wrong. So I just hope we don't see that as much.
No, I've had it where like you in Master Chief Collection you're playing a multiplayer match. I just right like I break or I can't play anymore tonight. I gotta work, whatever it is. You leave the match and then all of a sudden you're banned from matchmaking. Yeah,
nice.
That happens and it's like
yeah,
that's not good. That's not okay. So you're getting banned because you decided to leave the game and go do something.
Yeah, that's not good. I've never had anything like that in Arma. Usually it's just like you're in the middle of doing something and suddenly get kicked out of the game. It's just like...
Apparently the same issue has happened. I haven't had it happen to me in Halo Infinite, but apparently if you get... who else was telling me? They were playing... He was playing with his friends and they were kicked from a match. Like, not... Like, disconnected. Right? Got kicked from the connection, and because it read them as like leaving or whatever, they got banned from. Like they had a E-ranked or something. Essentially, they were getting punished for the game disconnecting them. It's like, that's not okay.
Well, another aspect that I just thought of that might be part of the problem is that I think maybe certain server admins are adding or subtracting rules to the cheat software for what they think of as cheating. And so you're getting different interpretations of cheating each server that you go to.
I think it's all just automated.
Well, I know that certain cheat software will allow you to set certain settings. So, and I'm only speaking from the Arma side. So I can't. I'm not trying to apply this to the other games, but I know for Arma, you go to certain servers and they have different criteria what they determine to be cheating. So
it could be the same. I have no idea.
Well, all I'm pointing out is that maybe my experiences are like my experience of the anti-cheat software being problematic is based off more of those settings that individual admins are creating, because then you're basically you're playing somebody's interpretation and not just, like you said, a set standard of this is cheat, this is not cheat, hard baked into the software.
Right. Which into one guy. So you're saying this one guy might have it where it's like, leaving the match.
Right.
Still absurd, but
yeah,
disconnecting is cheat. Screw you, player. Anyway.
Yep.
Back to Star Citizen.
Yeah.
So, Misk Odyssey, they finally got the Q&A. Anyone in our Discord server? Oh, I put that image of the, was it the Carrick trader? Right, he's walking with the Odyssey, but then he sees the Carrick again. He's like, ooh. Because that's pretty much what this Q&A did for a lot of people that were like, no, the Odyssey's better than the Carrick now. And then they're like, no, I'm sticking with the Carrick, turns out.
All I gotta say is that whenever it comes to a concept ship being sold, you need to read whatever they give you, then go back, read it a second time, and then put your lawyer hat on and read it a third time, looking for every possible chance of interpretation, and then make your decision.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a few episodes ago, where I'm just like, I think they stop selling the concept ship. Like if it's flight ready and it just came out, go for it.
Yeah.
But if it's concept, given how much they change concept ships, like yeah, concepted. Then 3 years later, you finally get the ship, and it could be 1-to-1 to concept art, purpose and everything like that, and then this offshoot concept was.
Yeah. By selling the concept, their CIG is creating their own controversy.
Yeah.
Whereas I think we would actually get much better ships if they came out with a concept, said, "Hey guys, here's a concept. We're not selling it, but this is what we're thinking of doing." And then that would also allow the community to give back responses of positive or negative or changes. And then, maybe a month or a year later,
exactly,
or 2
it changes
years later,
the mentality, because now, okay, they're not monetized. You can't buy them, because when you have a concept sale and it's for sale, then it implies, okay, it's because now you're essentially you're committing to this. You're selling this for real money. You're now committing to this idea. You're not delivering that. You're going to piss a lot of people off, because that's not what you paid for. But if you're not selling the concept, then you can say the MISC, whatever, or like Avenger 2 comes out, or I don't know, whatever, a new insert name here, new ship is
just
concepted.
Use the Odyssey.
Like the Odyssey, they didn't, but they didn't monetize it. And they're like, hey, this is subject to change. A few months later, they come out. Look, ship's in white box, but we realized that we need more room here and there, so the ship's going to increase in size. Blah blah blah. We're going to get rid of this thing because it makes the ship too overpowered. It need to have some flaws to balance it out for gameplay, and people will definitely not be vocal of the community feedback, just because the concept not being monetized versus the concept that is. That's, I think, the problem there. Definitely is.
Yeah. And then, the offset is, okay, well, they're not making as much money on that, and that's true, but then they could also just release a couple more ships, and let's say, ship A, if you were to do old school concept sale, it makes $1 million. But if you do it where you don't sell the concept, you only sell it at flight ready, that ship only brings in, let's say, 250 or 250 grand. Well, then just have a couple other ships in the pipeline, so you have a constant rotation of release of concept ships. One a quarter maybe, and it's granted it would take time to create that staggered schedule, but once it was up and running, they'd still be able to make their income, just not as much per ship, but yet still get their $1 million by the end of the year.
Yeah, and I think that's also and I would say, definitely say part of the problem is that again, right now, all of the money, like profits, everything that they're making right now, is still based entirely on crowdfunding, whether it be through purchasing and everything like that. It's still crowdfunding that they're really relying on right now. So once they get Squadron out, maybe that we'll see changes there, because they'll finally have a product they can make a profit from. But at the moment, it's all crowdfunding. Unfortunately, I don't expect anything. But I do hope, maybe if we're lucky, watching, maybe I'll put this in maybe, hopefully, eventually hear this feedback.
Well, here's
look,
one.
Stop selling concept ships. We know it makes you money, but it's setting yourself up to fail.
Here's one interesting idea I heard just during this last week. Kind of related, but maybe not exact. Okay. But someone posed the idea, because the conversation was about the funding and stuff, and the argument was, well, they need to have so many ships because they need to fund, all the studios that they have, and how the London studio that they're looking at growing up to 1,000. And the comment that made me start wondering, or kind of popped a question into my head, was, well, do we know for sure that they plan on keeping the other studios? Like, what's to stop them?
They might dissolve or
studio,
merge the studios. together.
Yeah, and then merge the studios together. So there's just going to be one big studio in London that so maybe they don't need, because if they were to grow under the current model they have, they've got, I think, somewhere about 600 employees, something like that.
Something like that.
So if they're to grow that new studio, you're looking at like 1,600 people, but we don't know that maybe they will not, maybe they'll bring a few people over from those other studios, and that's, and they'll grow to like 1,200. Or maybe when they said that the London studios, they expect to have 1,000 people there, maybe that's actually taking all those other studios and bringing those people in to consolidate, and that's what'll make it 1,000 people. Who knows? All I'm pointing out is that we don't know what the studios will look like, a year from now. So, and that would affect how much money they need to be bringing in, because you think about it, like financing a studio in LA and in Frankfurt, Germany is not cheap. So if you were to remove that and just be funding off of one country's taxes, that might bring down the cost of the studio.
Well, that's exactly. I think that would be logical, at least. Is, hey, instead of multiple locations where we have to pay for rent or whatever utilities it is,
yeah,
it's just one location that you.
Yeah, and the locations they're in now are not necessarily cheap. Even Austin is getting expensive.
Everywhere is getting expensive, huh? But yeah, it's essentially even if it wasn't multiple versus one.
Yeah. And now that they have all their teams going, I mean, there's not really a reason to need because their original idea for why they had the spread out studios is so that they could essentially have work being done 24 hours a day. Like, when one studio is closed for the evening, let's just say when Frankfurt is closed for the evening, LA is still going on the project. But now that they've gotten to the state, do they still need that capability, or would it make more monetary sense?
They don't need to be spread across the world in order to do that. Have a night shift and day shift.
Right. Well, I think they're yeah. I see what you're saying.
I mean, like pharmacies here in New York do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like even grocery stores open 20. Not the same person working 24 hours. God, like that would suck.
Yeah. Well, I got a supermarket chain in my local area that used to be open 24 hours a day, but since COVID, they changed their schedules, so now they're like 6 to midnight, I think. But still, it's doable. But anyways, I just thought that was an interesting idea that I had, it just kind of hadn't crossed my mind that, oh yeah, hey, there's nothing to stop them from consolidating to one studio and still being able to do everything they want to do.
Right. It's not necessarily like, oh, we're making a new studio, now we're going to have 6. We may still have 5, or we're just going to move over to this studio. We have less buildings to pay for. It's just, cost effectiveness versus your growth and progress versus cost, I guess. But yeah.
So
Miss
back
Odyssey,
to the Odyssey.
Yes, Miss Odyssey. Got the Q&A. First question: what materials can the Odyssey refine? Does refined material go straight to the fuel tanks or the cargo bay?
So just to jump in here real fast,
Go.
The TLDR, this whole thing that I walked away from, is this thing is just a very expensive mobile med bay now.
But the answer to that question of where does the refined go, right? And what materials can it refine? So the Odyssey can refine quantanium and hydrogen into fuel. That refinery solely exists to extend the ship's range. Refined fuels go straight into the fuel tanks rather than the cargo bay. So your fuel, any refined material is not going to the cargo bay, at least quantanium and hydrogen. But it doesn't seem like you'll be able to mine anything else.
Along with that, I think it's safe to imply that anything you're mining before you get to the refining probably go straight into your refinery, in the sense that you'll probably only be able to mine quantanium, and it's not like you mine it, then it goes into your cargo or it goes into a storage, and then you decide when to put it in the refinery. I think it's just going to go straight from mining head to refinery to fuel tank. But that's my guess, and Data Machine will shoot that idea down.
No, you came in just in time. We just did the first question of. Yeah, the
What's
second
going on,
one.
Data?
Oh, not much. I won my first race Saturday.
Oh, that's right. How the race went well, I guess. You won. So.
Congratulations.
Ironically, I won the whole race, or won the pro race, but I was the very first one to blow up in the first heat.
Yeah.
Now, can we quantify this? Did you win because you actually beat the other people, or was it just that you're the last person alive? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I legit won.
Okay.
But there were lots and lots of crashes. So the pro race ended up with only 3 people, one of which blew up before that race was over. And the amateur race also only had 3 people, and I don't think anybody finished that one. Everybody
Nice.
blew up.
Well, you've been training for like a month now.
Yeah. I put a lot of practice into that track. It was a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, we're just doing the Odyssey Q&A, and I threw my 2 cents in at the beginning, which is, I think this thing is just a very expensive mobile med bay now.
Is the Odyssey able to refine materials from other ships, such as ore bags from Prospect? Which the answer is, it is not planned at this point, as there's no way to feed the Ford refinery other than through Odyssey's own mining arm. You're right, that it just goes right from the built-in refinery.
Well, also, I think that there's a lot of implication in just that one thing, which is, think about, like, you took a prospector along. How are you supposed to move those bags by hand? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So I got the feeling that basically that's a big no. Like, the only thing you'll be able to do is maybe put the saddlebags into the cargo bay, which, so we're looking at what, 32 SCU makes up those 4 saddlebags, and the ship has, what is it, 100 something cargo. I think I worked it out at one point. Basically, you can hold 7 if it lets you put the saddlebags into the cargo. You'll be able to basically hold 7 prospector loads worth in the cargo bay.
I mean, that's better than I expected.
Yeah.
And you're probably better off with the Starfarer refining that.
If the Starfarer is going to be able to refine things other than fuel, which I recently rewatched a video and I'm not sure.
I think it's going to be a tanker, so I think I think you're right that it's probably only going to be the fuels.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm getting a sense from the way that they're answering questions that we're going to end up having very specific refineries and even mining heads in the sense of what they can and can't mine.
When you get that sense, you start seeing dead people.
Well, I think we're kind of like in a golden era right now where you take a prospector or a mole out and you basically mine anything you see. And I think those days are limited in the future.
Well, you're still going to have stations to deliver the ore to and find that way. So that's not going anywhere.
And I'm not saying that like the prospector or the mole won't be able to mine everything. What I'm saying is I think you're going to have specific mining heads, which is going to be part of that whole kind of, you need to have a game plan before you go out mining, because you're going to need to bring that mining head or maybe a couple of mining heads,
or the gadgets or the consumables to compensate for the lack of a specific. Right.
But I think you're going to see people going out with like, okay, I'm going out to mine Bexolite and maybe like one other thing. and anything else I find, I'm just not going to have the ability to mine that on that trip.
I mean, to be fair, you kind of have that already, though. Let's just be real here. Most people that go mining that know what they're doing are usually going after one thing.
True.
Whether it's Quantanium, Laranite, or
I think it's still Bexolite, isn't it?
What's the one that starts with an A? Whatever. Like,
So,
but
yeah,
essentially, what?
It's in the order of value, top to bottom. It's Quantanium, Bexolite, Terranite, Laranite, and Agricium. Those are the
Agricium. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially like everyone's always going after one element so they can get 100 or close to 100 of that element. Bring it back for refinement.
I mean, right now with the prices, if you're going out to make money, then you don't waste time mining anything except Quantanium, because refined Quantanium is worth double the price of anything else.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of comparisons, in comparison to the Carrick, does the Odyssey have the capacity to conduct jump point mapping scanning, which it does not? I mean, we kind of knew this before the Q&A, but it is nice to have it confirmed through the Q&A. The Odyssey does not have the ability to jump points, which, for anyone who doesn't know, that is wormholes that let you travel to and from other star systems. At least it can't scan and map jump points to the same extent as the Carrick, which remains the best current ship for that particular role. In general, all ships will be able to detect jump points, though the Carrick is simply better at doing it, or much better. Essentially, it's no better than really any other ship that can. Like any other ship, really. A Carrick can do it because it was built for it, but every other ship can do it passing, a passive role. Like, oh, a jump point was detected 5 meters in front of me. Yeah. Oh, we detected a jump point across the star system in my Carrick. What specialized sensors and scanners, if any, does the Odyssey have? I don't see any dedicated scanning and mapping rooms or equipment. What tools does it give its crew for exploration and discoveries? CIG answered, there are no dedicated rooms or specialized equipment as default, but that doesn't mean the Odyssey is incapable of performing these functions. A lot of future exploration gameplay mechanics are driven from stations these. So the lack of a dedicated room doesn't stop the activity from happening. However, ships that have dedicated rooms will have buffs to their abilities as a result. Want to improve the scanning functionality of the Odyssey? There are multiple ships that excel in the role that fit within the hangar, such as the Anvil F7CR, Hornet, or the Terrapin.
Yeah, I took this answer kind of to be like, hey, can I spot things from far away? And like, does this ship have a set of binoculars? And the answer was kind of like, no, but every ship has a set of Mark I eyeballs on it that you'll be able to look out the window and see things. Like, it's this was a marketing answer to me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it finally gives the 315E a reason.
Specifically to detail the differences between the Odyssey and the Carrick, right?
Yeah.
No, it was more just here's the top questions, and the community, of course, seemed to be very much focused on what you just said, which was, what are the differences between it? But
right, because there's those people saying that the Odyssey is a Carrick killer.
Yeah,
and even CIG, or at least Lando, was kind of memeing in the last Inside Star Citizen, where he said it was a Carrick killer. He wasn't serious; it was being sarcastic.
No, because
Yeah.
one of them did actually call it that, though. I think
Yeah,
in
he did, but
the
I
Odyssey,
think he was just kind of fanning the
episode.
flames of people that are
Right, I don't think he was
calling it
wise, but he did say it.
Yeah.
I think it was a mistake on their part, but at the same time, I like the guy who said it. He's the main I don't know what the proper technical term is for it, but basically he was the creator of this ship. Like this was his big baby. So of course he's kind of, you know, like a football fan, you know, he's propping up his team in the comments that he made. However, that, you know, that created the brouhaha that we're seeing now, because people are so serious about their ships that they're like, how dare you say that? You know, prove it. And I think CIG is kind of going, oh shit, we didn't mean to quite get it to that level. I think that's what's going on. That's my interpretation.
Well, you accurately pointed out that some people simply get too invested in their ship, and the irony
It's
is
a double-edged sword, though, because they are paying real money. So,
I mean, they are, but I mean, come on.
No, I agree. Some people do.
The-
I was just playing devil's advocate. Like they are paying real money, so there is, you know, reason for it. But yes, people do eventually get too invested. It's just a ship at the day. If it's fun, that's all that matters.
They're paying real money, but they're voluntarily paying that money. It's not like they're being forced to pay it. They're doing it because they want.
Most of the time, they do it because they want that ship.
Yeah,
Well,
and they want it to be good, and I understand that. But on the other side, that the thing that they're not taking into consideration is that the majority of the exploration gameplay, and even most of the gameplay related to these big ships, isn't even the game. We don't even know what the details of how it's actually going to function. So
They may not either.
Yeah. Also, another thing, a really good point to what you just said, Data, is I think one of the big problems is that you have part of the community is you know, logical and kind of assumes the same things we're talking, which is, hey, this is a game, you know, it's fun. Yes, I paid some money into it. There's, you know, but at the same, you know, I wasn't forced to. But there is a part of the community that doesn't see it that way, and they do see it as, I paid money. You can't change anything that you gave me because of that. Like, because I paid money, I have these rights.
Which goes all the way back to the thing I was saying earlier with concepts, and why when you sell a concept, you're essentially you're committing to that idea, because you're offering it for money and people buying it and expecting what you originally sold them.
And they probably see it as, you know, it costs more than the Carrick, so it should be better than the Carrick.
Yeah, and again, that just comes down to people's realistic expectations. And there's realistic people and there's unrealistic people. So
yep.
Personally, I'm not a huge fan of this. Has to be better than that. I like this should be different than that.
Yeah, and
I just want variety. I don't want like, oh, this is just this ship but better. Like, no, I want this ship is different because it does X, Y, Z differently, or it does A, B, C instead. Like, that's what we should be looking.
Well, I want to. I'm pulling out my box again real quick, which is again, I think this is a marketing thing, which is marketing kind of created this brouhaha to some extent. Whether it was through intentional statements or unintentional statements, they allowed this to develop, and it should have never gotten to this point. Like, market it differently in a way that shows off those differences, which is what I think CIG wanted to do. Or you know, long term, I think CIG wants to show the spectrum of variation within that exploration zone of ships. But
marketing is enabled to do that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Instead of doing that, marketing came out and went, this is the Carrick killer, you know, trying to drive the hype. This is my belief, trying to drive the hype, and, you know, encouraged statements to that effect. And now look what the community's doing. So I kind of lay this whole thing at marketing's feet again. Okay, put my box away.
No, it's all good. So the next question was, what's the difference between the Odyssey and the Carrick? Just straight up, what's the difference? The biggest difference is the Carrick specialization areas such as jump point scanning and mapping, onboard drones and repair facilities, and its 3 modular cargo bays that can be outfitted in the future for various purposes beyond cargo, such as makeshift ODST drop pods. Hopefully. The Odyssey, however, favors a more generalized approach with the flexibility to do a lot of separate roles depending on how you equip it with onboard ships, ground vehicles, and supplies. So it's... the way I'm reading that, like the way I'm interpreting that, it's kind of like, so the Odyssey is just a larger long-range constellation series.
Actually, what a lot of people are equating it to is that it's the other ship carrier that was just released during SitCon. I can't remember the name of it right now.
Liberator.
The Liberator. Yeah,
Enfield
they're basically
Liberator.
saying it's more of a Liberator than anything else because, you know, by
longer
this
range,
verbiage,
obviously.
Well, we don't know that. I mean,
Well, it can mine its own fuel, so
it has longer range capability if it can find the resource. But straight up head to head without refueling, we don't know what its range is versus the Liberator.
Well, that's because we don't know much about the Liberator yet. Still only a concept as.
And that's actually another good point that was brought up by that I saw Astropub bring up, which was, here's another thing that wasn't answered, which is we don't know how profuse Quantanium's going to be in other systems. I mean, right now we have it all over the place in Stanton, but in longer term gameplay, we don't know the scarcity or rarity of Quantanium. So just saying that this ship can do it and people are buying it thinking, well, I'll just be able to go anywhere, that's not guaranteed. We don't know that.
I mean, a good example in the real world for that is Helium-3. On Earth, very, very scarce. On the Moon, not scarce at all. So
yeah, or just, you know, hey, I have an RV that lets me dig an oil well and refine the oil to make gas. That's great. But what if you're driving around, you know, in I don't know, the Amazon jungle and there's no oil there? Like, you know, that's
right, exactly.
We don't know. So
but locations have different things, lack other things.
Yeah.
What makes them different locations?
Yep.
Honestly, I chalk most of the people complaining about the Odyssey, I chalk that up to them wanting the Odyssey to be able to do everything, which is unrealistic. I mean,
no, and I don't like that.
Said that they want ships to be diverse, and you know,
and role specific.
You have to. They're going to be role specific to a degree, and that's part of the player choice. You find the ship that matches the gameplay style that you want, and then you deal with the negatives that are associated with that.
Yeah,
maybe
I absolutely
not
agree.
Negatives, but I mean, there's going to be
pros and cons.
And downsides. Yeah, pros and cons. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%. There's that core of the community that's like, I want the do-all ship, and it's like, you're coming to the wrong game then, because that's not what Chris Roberts wants. He wants
then buy an Idris and put some moles in there and put some other ships in there, and there you go. Because I agree as well. It's not that's what I want, versatility. I want ships to be different from each other, so that this way X chip can't do everything that Y ship.
But I want my interest to be able to refine Quantanium, man, so it can go anywhere.
Well, I want my Aurora to have a railgun, but
anyways,
I can destroy Idris's. I don't know. Fuck.
Yeah.
Really, from the description that they gave there, I kind of see the Odyssey as being like the Cutlass Black of Explorer ships.
Well, I used a Constellation because the Constellation has both a ship and a ground vehicle. You can have a rover and you have the snub. So
I was just comparing it to the Cutlass Black because Cuddy Black is like the generic can do all,
like all-purpose ship,
multi-tool.
Yeah. And that's kind of what the Odyssey sounds like to me.
Yeah, but obviously, this isn't a bad thing, by the way. Like, I like that, okay, it's a longer range ship that can carry other ships. Similar to the Liberator, but it can, so far that we know of, it has longer range capabilities and probably better living quarters and can have a larger crew.
you got to put a might in that, because when you just
I
say
said that we
longer
know
range,
of. That we know of.
that's implying that it like we just said, that's making an implication. I think we should hold off on that until we know.
Like, seemingly,
yeah.
Uh,
Something to that effect. But yeah, I agree. It does seem like basically a plussed up sized multi-tool, which, you know, and
again,
having
isn't
that
a bad
bed,
thing.
that's a big deal. Like, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't mean that to be a negative, but I
guess it
still
just
think
means
the price range is too high for being a multi-tool.
it's price range, and it's also the marketing team and their fault for, I guess, delivering what they're supposed to be, right? And
yeah,
also just expectations, reality, as well as the fact that this might all change it. At the end of the day, I guess it comes down to lack of information. Price point.
Yeah. The next question that you're going to go over, to me, this is kind of a big one.
And the Odyssey refuel on refuel other ships, or is it limited to the vehicles in its hangar? The Odyssey can only refuel ships landed in its hangar via on-foot manual. So why is that bad?
Because to me, what that's saying is you can't land on the landing pad and select your refueling option, you know, like you can basically with any other ship on any other landing pad.
Wait, does the landing pad go up?
We don't know.
Okay. So, again, lack of information.
My whole point is anywhere else you land, then you bring up your Mobi-Glass and you go to your, you know, refuel repair options, and boom, you might have to wait, but it goes through that process. And this answer is saying you won't do that. You're going to have to you're going to have to, like, get off the ship and go lug fuel.
Well, if you have a crew there, they can do it for you.
Right. But still, like, why is this a different mechanic from every other refueling mechanic?
Well, I think what we have right now in game is probably not the best example, and I just say that because eventually they're going to have everything be physicalized. They're going to have people come onto the pad or into the hangar when you're landed to run out with to refuel you. And obviously, it will be an automatic thing where it's AI doing it, not you. But in this case, you're not in an automated landing surface. You're in your own hangar.
Okay.
I think that's fine. Just because, like, you think of the circumstances, situation, location. You're in your own ship's hangar, out in the middle of space. Yeah, you have fuel and need to smaller ships, Pisces or whatever. You're not. What we have right now is essentially you land on the pad and then you're magically, you know, press the button on your Mobi-Glass and you're magically refueled. That's not how it's going to be.
Well, we used to have the drones come out and do it.
We did used to have the drones.
I hear what you're saying.
So, I do hope they add them back in because that was a really nice touch. I always love that.
I mean, they're gonna add fuel ports to all the ships because they've all got to be able to be refueled by the Starfarer. So
exactly, and they worked on that docking collar arm for refueling.
Yep.
Starfarer. Let's see. Next question is how can a mail slot cockpit have excellent visibility? The mail slot
I think this comes from freelancer owners.
Yes. The mail slot is actually quite a large opening and provides significant panoramic views for everyone on the bridge. So it's mail slot, but a very large mail slot. Is that it?
That's what I'm reading.
So mail slot for giants.
I still wonder what they actually mean by panoramic, because based off the freelancer, they claim the freelancer has a panoramic view as well, and I disagree with that. So,
I mean, panoramic in the sense that it's like
180
degrees, but
yeah.
Well, that's what I mean by interpretation. But
yeah,
you know, yes, by the letter of the law, you are accurate in your statement that the width of the view is what determines panoramic. But to me, as a pilot, having sitting, you know, 6 feet back and not being able to look up more than, you know, 5 degrees, and having struts in my way does not mean panoramic.
You know what's fun? When you remember that the Reliant is also made by MISC and how great of a view the Reliant has. Right, next question is, which ships will fit in the hangar? Can you please provide us with some examples of XS ships? Extremely small ships. So the XS hangar generally refers to what the community calls small ships. So we're talking size 1. To use the actual designation. Non-exhaustive list of ships includes the Avenger, Eclipse, Gladius, Saber, Arrow, Gladiator, Hawk, Hornet, so all the Hornet variants. Hurricane, Terrapin, Defender, Mustang, and that means all the Mustang. Buccaneer, Herald, Prospector, the 100 series, the 300 series, the Aurora series. So that's actually
the Vanguard, Cutlass, Freelancer, Reliant, and Car2All are too big to fit. So
yeah, so we're talking size 1 fighters, really.
Yeah, fighters and utilities.
Is the Hornet really considered I thought it was considered a medium fighter.
Well, it's still size 1.
That's the and again, this is all like kind of the marketing and concept.
I think he means in game is referred to as a. Some of them anyway. Yeah, ships such as the Vanguard, Cutlass, Freelancer, Reliant, and Car2All are too big, as they are size 2. Well, Car2All might be.
Yeah, Car2All is a size 1, but it's probably just because of the metrics of the engines and.
Yeah, well, I think it's too tall, and it's definitely too.
Yeah,
Reliant. The Reliant has got a wingspan.
What's the B wing rotation one? I can't think of the name.
Reliant.
Is that the Reliant?
That's the Reliant. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So they're saying that can't fit. That
makes
because
it's got that giant wingspan. Its wingspan is huge.
Yeah. Plus the rotation of it too.
Well, it can take off without rotating. Problem.
No, but what I'm getting at is no matter how you rotated it, it'd either be too wide.
It'd either be too tall or too long. Got massive wing.
But I'm okay with this. Like,
I think it's great.
That this is normal expectations, and I think anyone who's not satisfied with that is just kind of, again, same thing that Data said earlier.
Some of these are pretty good ships.
The ship that'll do everything, and it's like, no.
No, I mean, look, like the 300 series, that's great because you got the 315P, that's the exploration variant, right? Then you have R would fit, the 325A. I see the 100 series.
But I want my Retaliator to fit there.
I'm pretty sure the Retaliator might be just as long as a Prospector.
I think it's a little longer than a Prospector.
I know, sorry, the Odyssey.
It's
a long ship.
It's
like a space submarine.
I'm not disagreeing.
Alright, next question is, what are the rings you can see the people standing in the background of the shot? Some kind of Geon Gravlev? The Odyssey leverages a lot of Geon tech. Construction and the image below shows the main personnel lift. Top hangar also uses Geon tech to fold the roof over the roof door into a much smaller footprint that typically would be possible. Okay.
So the way I'm interpreting this is, if they are agreeing that ring-looking thing is a personnel lift, then what I'm seeing in the design is that you can't use that lift while you got vehicles coming down the ramp. So
that's just in the middle of the way. It's not off to the side. That is.
But then again, if we're misinterpreting what they wrote, then maybe they mean that the ramp.
Well, I'm going off of the image.
Personnel lift.
Perspective-wise, it does look like it's off to the side, but obviously it's not. Ramp there.
So again, this is an example of where they're answering the question kind of raises more concerns, whereas if they had been a little clearer with their verbiage, it might allay some of that, concern that I now have with that design.
Right.
So.
And where's that image
of the what?
Of the roof where they have the. They said that also Heck. Also, what the heck is going on over here? Landing gear. Maybe that's what they meant?
Which part of the landing gear are you talking about?
Behind the Rock DS going down the ramp. Like.
Oh, that's a Connie in the background.
What?
To me, that looks like a Connie in the background.
You see these like lights on these essentially
or
like,
you know what? That might be one of the engine nacelles. Because it's got those big engine nacelles on the sides.
Okay,
yeah. So scroll up to the top of the page where you see the Odyssey in flight, and you see the bottom nacelle that says ORS 51 on the side. I think
this right here.
What side of that?
What are these? I think.
Hold on. What are what?
I think this is the lift.
No, that's the nacelle that I'm talking about.
No,
so
not the engine in the background. These rings with the people in it.
Oh, gotcha. So maybe that is what they're talking about. Again, be more clear.
Because that looks Xi'an, and that looks like a series of rings that would be some kind of alien lift. I guess it is off to the side.
Now that you zoomed in on it, I see what you're talking about. Whereas before,
I thought it was just yellow thing over here. I thought
those were lighting effects, and I was looking at the circular orange ring.
Yeah, I was looking at the ring too, but that's but it doesn't. That's not a ring. That's just a circle with an orange painted ring around it. Here you have actual rings, so that probably.
Yeah, so now it's actually that's a much more
paints a clearer picture, if you will. Okay.
So that's where, like, if they had just drawn a little arrow or circled it, then there would have been no misinterpretation.
Right.
Like, this is what we're talking about here, kind of a thing. But anyways.
I want to go on record, and this is just personally, but I really don't like their floaty tech. I think it's dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not so much a fan of it either.
Of what, the floaty tech?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The little bits that are supposedly they don't even say how they're supposed to be controlled. They're just they float into position and they just stay there.
Alien hand wavium.
Yeah.
Still need to make that hand wave.
I get they want it to be cool, but that kind of breaks my immersion because they're trying to make the game semi-realistic, and there's nothing realistic about that.
Agreed.
Unless it falls apart when the power goes off, but they've said that they're not going to do that. So.
Oh, but if it's like then it can be like supercharged magnets and no more current running.
Or some kind of magnetic field manipulation, or something like that.
Essentially, if you say, oh, power's cut out, but it's still working, how?
Okay, so here's another.
Unless they have their own emergency backup supply, which I doubt, given how.
If you're going to have this kind of alien tech, why can't we have basically the force shields that keep the oxygen in the space stations that you run through? Why can't you have those on your bulkhead doors so you don't have to worry about losing your environment inside your ship each time you go in and out?
Well, I think once they get the atmospheric room system in the game, they're gonna have to add something like that to a lot of the smaller ships.
I know the Prowler already has it.
Yeah, but the Prowler is an alien ship. It has that stuff built in.
But to be fair, it's a human-made alien ship, so you can make the argument. Well, they learned how to do it, considering how we have them on human missions now.
But I mean, think about it from a manufacturer's perspective. Like, why wouldn't you use that tech in all your external doorways?
Yeah.
Like
Cutlass,
on a ship, like
the Cutlass Black sure as hell can use it.
Every ship could use it. I mean, even your fighters could use it.
Any ship that has an interior that you can walk around in that doesn't have a sealed airlock compartment, like a transition room, needs something like that.
I mean, I'm fine with some ships not having it, but most should.
I would actually go as far as to say any ship that doesn't require you to wear, in other words, basically anything other than fighters, I think should have it one way or another. Because you think about like a fighter, you're getting in, you're going to have your spacesuit on, you know, you're going to go fly it for a short period of time and then land. Like that, I don't see needing a force field.
And I know many people are probably going to say no, they don't want that because visually it's not whatever. But you know what? If you make the option where you can turn that shield on and off from the cockpit or engineering console, I think it'd be perfect. This way it gives the player options, and it gives guys like us, like, hey, we have an air shield to keep oxygen in.
Yeah, just have it tied into like, you know, if you're running this system, maybe it increases your EM or your IR signature by just a couple, you know, a couple points or whatever.
Also,
degrees.
Think of it this way: like, say you're using the Atlas Black for an operation, or the Valkyrie. Obviously, you got the air shields on normally when you open a door, but say for this operation, everyone is in the cargo because the Valkyrie is a ship that definitely needs. The operation is a EVA insertion, right? So everyone's in the cargo bay, all suited up, ready for EVA. Okay, we're gonna decompress the cargo bay. Everyone get ready in 5 seconds or whatever. So you can turn off the air shields, open all the doors and everything, and launch out. Like, it makes sense for something like that. You know, where this way you have the option to turn it off, versus always on versus always off. Just give us options, Tim.
Yeah, I just think it makes it's a safety issue. Like, you know, why would
it is,
as a ship producer, you know, or owner of a ship, you'd be like, well, I don't want somebody accidentally opening that door, and because we're not wearing our spacesuits and we don't have every single door. Like, what if somebody's going through a doorway at the same time that external door opens? Now I just lost, you know, my atmosphere in half my ship. Or I could have this basic safety feature that just puts up a air shield over any external door, and no matter what, we know that we're safe. Yeah, if I lose my power, well, then my expectation is it's not working. But otherwise,
right?
I'm running a safe ship. Like, that just makes sense to me. Like, that's like seatbelt level basic. But anywho,
Speaking of
I think this next one also riled up the community a bit.
Yeah, do size 4 shields on this large ship. That a new component size category in large and capital was added. Capital components are the same as size 4 components. Have 5 sizes in terms are often in vehicles, like ground vehicles are size 0. Small fighters and ships like the Aurora or your Hornet or Arrow. Sabers, those are size 1. Medium ships like the Cutlass and Freelancer, that's size 2. Large ships like the Carrick, 100i, that's size 3. Capital like the Jump is size 4. And the Idris, size 4 too.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where I sit on this, but I do see some potential problems with having having component sizes tied into just the size of the ship. Like, I think, how do I put this? I think ship design should determine the size of the component, in the sense that you could maybe have some, let's take a capital size ship. I don't think it should necessarily just automatically get size 4 component. What if because that's limiting your ship designs. Whereas if you would allow any size, then you could potentially have a ship like a better example might be the whole E series. Just because it's going to be a large ship, maybe it doesn't need an S4. What if you were to design it where it only has like 2 S2s in the front and 1 S3 in the back to protect the engine and the crew compartments? but it doesn't worry about giving you shield, massive size 4 capability across the whole ship. Am I making sense?
Yeah, no, I got what you're going at. Like, essentially, yeah, why would a cargo freighter need heavy shielding like a capital ship, like an Idris? That's
Yeah. Well, just because it's the size, it automatically gets it. That doesn't, like, from a designer's point of view, if I was actually building spaceships, I'd be like, well, how can I cut down on the size and draw of this component? Oh, let me go with 2 mediums instead of this, 2 S2s instead of an S4. Like, I can still cover the important areas, but blah blah blah. Like, that just gives me more building options. Is what I'm thinking. But anyway, I'm off my box.
no, I agree with that. Like, why would, like, for instance, why would a cargo freighter size 4 ship? In something like the whole E, like, yeah, it's a capital sized. I don't think it's an actual capital ship categorization.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of.
I don't know either,
that.
but I don't think it is. But either way, like, yeah, that's a ship that's probably large enough to have one, but it shouldn't.
Right.
Given what it does and everything, it's just a larger version of its smaller cousins.
And it's possible they might run into that and figure that out, and they change it up. They've done it in the past, so
Yeah.
it's possible they'll do it in the future and go, yeah, the whole ship size component thing, that's out the window because we got a new system. Who knows?
Well, I mean, they can still keep the whole size 2 thing, capital is size 4, just it doesn't mean that a capital ship has to have size,
Right, that's what I mean, though.
Right, like, because, that's what makes it cool about the designations. Like, oh, my X ship has capital grade shielding. Like, that's something to kind of boast about when.
Yeah, my issue isn't that. It's
Bragging
just
rights.
it's the people who are like, well, I have a capital ship, so I expect S4 components across the board. That's my issue. It's like, no, just because you have a capital ship, it might have a range of, from size 2 up to size 4. Maybe you have a couple of size 4 components and you have a couple of size 3s and maybe one S2, depending on what that component is designed to do and how much coverage it needs to have. That's all I'm getting at, is we need to get away from the idea that just because it's a capital ship, everything on it is going to be an S4. That's all I'm getting at. That makes sense.
I don't agree that everything, just because it's a capital ship.
It's probably easier for CIG that way.
At the moment, I can
balance-wise.
understand it. But, like, if they're going to introduce new ships, I do want to see a bit more creative stuff,
Also, you have to bear in mind that all the component compartments in the ship are being designed for a specific size.
Right.
So it wouldn't make sense for a smaller component to fit in there because it wouldn't hook up correctly.
But that's where I'm getting at with the idea that if they follow that route, that's exactly what they're doing. They're tying their hands into the ship. We have to design this ship with a size 4 capability for everything because it's a capital ship. And all I'm saying is maybe get away from that. So when you design that ship, you don't have to have a size 4. I'm just picking random, but a size 4 shield generator in this thing. Make it so that maybe this design only requires 2 size 3s in separate locations. That's what I mean by being able to
and that's why I'm saying I want to see more creativity with newer ships, just because I don't think they're going to change ships right now.
So my argument to call sign's point would be that there is likely going to be enough variance between the different types of components of that size that you're basically getting the same thing. You can have an industrial component that is better in long haul but doesn't perform as well, like higher performance. And you've got mid-tier and you get the high military class. So I don't know.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and you might be right.
I get what you're saying too, that it would be interesting to have a ship with varying sizes based on what the ship is designed to do. But
Yeah,
if they go that route, then it's going to be harder to communicate to people. I mean, it's
true.
easier if you say this is a fighter, a size
Yep.
1 fighter. It's going to have these components, and
Gameplay
this
wise,
is
it
what's going
makes
to
more
fit.
sense. Is why.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree with what you're saying there. That's true. It's much clearer and more simplistic for players to understand that concept than to go, hey, every ship might have a different size
Also,
layout. Yeah.
the 890 jump, I don't capital for everything. So there you go.
But actually, you just brought up a good point that I kind of been thinking about for the past couple of weeks, which is, I was using the what you call it,
Urkel?
the thing that lets you build your ships website.
Urkel.
The Urkel.
Urkel. I was looking at Urkel, and one thing I noticed is I was looking at the stealth stuff, and to me, I don't know. I don't know how to say this. If what I'm going to say is
It's okay.
I'm
You can tell us.
conveying my idea correctly, but right now I don't like how all the only difference between all the stealth drives. Well, the only difference between any of the categories is the range. I'm right now. I'm just talking about the quantum drive for the sake of this argument. But essentially, you go to, let's say, pick a stealth drive, and it has nothing to do about the effectiveness of the stealth drive. The only differentiation that you're making is whether it's A, B, or C, or D, and the only variation that you're seeing is the distance that it can go. You're not seeing the difference of how stealthy it is. And to me, that's like, why do we even bother? Like, if stealth is just going to be a number, like, it's, no matter what drive you pick, you get a stealth of, I'm just picking a number, you get a stealth of 5. But this stealth A lets you go further. That's not the mechanic that I want. What I want is
what's going to hide your EM and IR signatures
like
better.
The A version is going to give me a 7 on my stealth, roll, whereas the D version is only going to give me 2. You could still have variations in distances that they can jump, but to me, if I'm picking the stealth category, the determination of which stealth drive I pick should be the stealthiness, not just its range. Am I making sense?
You are making sense, but I haven't looked at the stealth drives specifically, but the difference between all the other drives. Okay. The
Sorry,
difference between the other drives is that, I mean, when you look at the list, I mean, you have the how fast the drive is. The faster it is, the less range it has because it consumes more fuel. But on the subcategories are how long it takes the drive to cool down so you can jump again, how fast it will spool up and calculate so you can
Yep.
jump. And then each drive has different EM and IR emission ratings. Generally, the
Yep.
more powerful ones have higher emissions.
Right.
So
But again,
the ways. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I totally agree with you. I was just picking stealth as a category to discuss, but I think if you look at any one of those categories, that from commercial, industrial, competition, military, stealth, essentially when you go into those, you're still just your range setting for the things that you're talking about, your IR and your spool up and spool down and things like that, like all that, yes, they do change, but essentially each category is almost the same within that category is what I'm getting at. Not so much, I don't have a problem with the different categories. It's inside those categories. I want more speciation.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the right word.
So you're saying that the difference between A, B, and C of the military drives is similar to the A, B, and C of the civilian drives.
No, what I'm saying is once you get into the military drive, the only difference I'm seeing between the other military drives is essentially distance. there are minor variations that you really got to go digging for to get those other things that you're talking about, like your spool up rates and your IR settings. To me, those should be the primary determiners, not because the way you look at it and the way most people are picking their drives right now is they just look at how fast and how far. And to me, that should kind of almost be a moot point. It should, the reason you're picking that military B drive is because of those spool up times or that IR signature, things like that. Does that make sense? In other words, right now it seems like they're focusing on one aspect.
That's because all the other aspects don't currently matter much. Like the stealth drives, there's really no point because anything you like. Cam and I were testing this a few ago, but and they
stealth
may have
is just stealth.
It, but
there's no variation
there's
of the
no
stealth.
Your IR and EM are not going to change stealth. Like he was going all he was testing out his all stealth Pisces, no weapons or anything, and I was able to detect him from the same distance as though he was fully powered versus off and everything like that. And it's just there's no stealth gameplay with ships right now. That's just how it is. It's unfortunate, but it's just not implemented yet. So,
I mean, that's true, but that's just because that feature hasn't been added yet. So, trying to make that argument and say that the drives don't have enough diversity because that feature is in the game is kind of an oxymoron,
oh no,
right?
I'm not saying they're not going to do it. I'm just saying right now, right now what we're seeing, I'm hoping that what I was trying to get at is I'm hoping that we will see that more diversified fields is what I was trying to bring up. I guess I did it in a bad way, but it's so my example was just, hey, I was looking at the stealth drives and it seemed to me like basically all the stealth drives were the same except for the distance and speed. And I was wondering, I'm hoping that later on down the road, I'm not going to the stealth section and that's the only variation I'm seeing. I'd like to see a breakout of those stealth for other category variations where it's like, hey, this stealth drive, the A drive is going to give you more stealth versus the D drive is going to give you less stealth.
Speaking of, Crossfield's no longer the fastest size 2.
I thought the XL1 was always
no,
the fastest.
The XL1's now the fastest. Yeah, I thought it was the Crossfield before. That might have just been my mistake. But
the Crossfield is like the most efficient between fuel usage and speed.
Yeah, XL has always been the fastest for me, at least since like the 3 patches came out.
It's by far the fastest, but it uses the most fuel. So,
yep.
Mm-hmm.
So on the stealth topic, I really think stealth is going to be balanced more around the overall power usage of your ship instead of like a specific component. I could see a component having like a certain amount of shielding, but I mean, once they get the other systems in the game, like the power relays and all the other subcomponents where they're like spitting out power or using power, I think that's going to have more of an impact on the overall stealth of a ship.
I'd be okay with that. Here's an idea. I'm not trying to cut you off. I don't know if you have more to say.
I do, but go ahead.
Here's an idea, and I'm actually just asking this because I haven't wrapped my brain around it completely yet either. But what if stealth was actually a separate component? In other words, you didn't have a stealth drive. What you had was a stealth component that basically created almost like a shield envelope that just retarded a lot of those emissions. And then your stealth component could really be about how effective it is in dampening all those different readings that you're emitting. Would that be an acceptable way of having stealth technology components?
Well, honestly, I don't know. I'm not real big into stealth. It's just it makes more sense to me that the stealth of a ship would be based on the power usage and
True.
less so on the specific components inside.
Yeah, it would make your decision making much more important about the individual components. Yeah, actually that's a better answer. That's better gameplay. It's more risk reward for digging in deep to knowing what your ship does, and then what components you add to that ship, how that changes that. So yeah, you could
Right, and
almost
I
say,
mean,
go.
the way
Sorry.
I see stealth components, the way I would design them is that they have some shielding on them, so they produce less EM and IR, but the consequences that they perform that are the performance is reduced because I mean that's how
Yeah,
you
not
reduce
as
your emissions overall, right?
not as efficient, or maybe prone to breakdown or something like that. Yeah.
I mean you're just sacrificing performance for invisibility.
Yeah. That's like classic D&D, Sure, you can
Yeah,
be invisible, but the minute you attack somebody or cause somebody to react to something, you suddenly pop out of invisibility and you're visible. Makes sense. Like there's risk reward for your actions. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. That maybe stealth doesn't need to actually even be a component. Maybe it's more like, so you allow stealth to be more of a manufacturing process, i.e.,
Well,
the
it's a
skins
component,
or
so this way
coatings
you
of your
can.
ship, but overall stealth comes back down to, which components you select and what once all those components are together and how you run your ship gives you your emission rating, and that's where you're trying to bring things numbers down.
Plus, it's also there's just so many variables for stealth because they talked about the way they want scanning and pinging to work and how hiding behind a massive celestial object, you're not going to be able to be detected.
Yeah,
because there's going to be
but
interference
I'm
from that
okay with
giant
that.
rock. So
I would not be okay with them saying, "Oh yeah, no, you're hiding on the other side of a giant asteroid and you were detected just because you're within 5 miles of the target." Like that just doesn't, like, where did we get radar waves that are wrapping around a rock and giving you
yeah,
exact details? Like that's too hand wavium for me. So I want that realistic. Like if I'm hiding and there's something blocking between me and the sender, he shouldn't be able to see me.
right. We got 3 questions left of the Q&A.
yeah, we kind of got off track there.
Yep.
Sorry.
That's all good. I was shopping on Urkel. Actually, I was comparing. I have the Banu shield. Oh, that's right.
Oh, is anyone else having the problem? Every time I go to Urkel now, since 3.15 came out, it wants me to update the page. Like every single time I load the page, no matter how many times I update it, it still wants me to do it again.
I have not had that problem.
Fine just now.
Okay.
So.
Alrighty. I'm just curious if it's a only me problem or it was.
It may not be you. It may just be the internet. Like connecting to their servers and stuff. Because I know sometimes certain websites, like I have this issue. Certain websites are just. Other times, other websites are just like instant problems.
But I never had that problem before 3.15. So to me, it has something to do with whatever they updated in their database.
Maybe.
That's not syncing with my computer for some reason. But anywho, just wanted to ask.
That's a good question. Does it come with a ground vehicle and a snub like the Carrick?
Sure.
The Odyssey, it does not. They say it's for allowing you to customize it, but
I mean,
based on
for
how
the price,
we know this is going to work endgame wise, like in the future, they want us to be able to essentially, when we're quote unquote spawning the ship, we'll be able to spawn it with whatever vehicles that we have at that location, right?
Yeah.
So, like, say I have a Constellation which has the P-52 Merlin snub and RSI Ursa rover, but say I have a Cyclone and I have the P-72 Archimedes, and I put that on the Constellation Andromeda instead. Like, I should be able to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say this argument is moot. It's just like I understand that they want to make a ship that doesn't come with anything. That's fine. You know, like the blanking on the name of it, but it's probably my favorite carrier. The Polaris doesn't come with a vehicle, but it can have a fighter in there. Probably can fit a ground vehicle somewhere.
I think for the price, though, I mean, for the price tag that they're selling the Odyssey and what they're now saying it can and can't do, you probably should have gotten a snub fighter with it, or at least given you a like maybe a Dragonfly or something, you know, just because for the price, man.
Or Rock DS. It would be the perfect reason to give someone a Rock DS. No one else is going to use that thing. Cam only got it for the armor.
Oh man.
How much space is there for ground vehicles? Could you fit a Spartan or multiple Cyclones? The ground vehicle area in the Odyssey is quite spacious and designed to carry vehicles the size of the Ursa rover. And while it shares an overall room with cargo, the two are separated, so carrying a maximum amount of cargo does not impede the vehicle area. That's nice. This means you can also sacrifice cargo space for additional vehicles. It's not intended at this point to carry vehicles the size of a Nova, Ballista, or Spartan, although more enterprising players will find it. So in other words, yes, if you can do it.
This was probably the most concise answer they gave, I thought. And I really like that they actually differentiated that the cargo, even though you're parking the vehicle in, you know, the same deck, that the cargo and the actual vehicle are separate from each other. I think that's good marketing right now, because that actually sells the ship. Like because before people are like, well, does that mean if I take a vehicle, I get less cargo? Blah blah. Like that answered that question. That's a good answer, I thought.
Yeah. So the brochure shows crew quarters, but does the captain have their own room and facilities? Being a non-military design, unlike the Carrick, there isn't a dedicated captain's quarters. However, every crew member has their own quarters, so it's up to the captain to decide which room they like best. I want the window seat.
Yeah. I don't have an issue with this, but I would say that, you know, realistically, even in the commercial cargo world, you know, naval world, the captain does have a quarters usually right behind right behind the bridge, so that he's, you know, he's there on site ready to handle problems.
Right.
So you know, it'd be nice if they had something like that.
Even the Starfarer technically is a military ship, or was, but even the Starfarer FPS map layout got that right.
Yeah.
Maybe not in
the
placement.
Hammerhead.
You know, because it's 2 decks above the freaking bridge, but at least they got it right that he has his own office and quarters, and that is definitely how it should be. Because the captain is the best, and everyone else is peasants.
One thing that I kind of scratch my head on is how they CIG in general seems to perceive that every single bunk area needs to have like their own individual shower and shitter. And if anyone's ever actually been on a ship,
not the case.
You realize that
hell, in a college dorm room, it's not the case.
Yeah. Space is critical. You don't waste space on everybody getting their own nice warm toilet seat. It just doesn't make sense.
In an apartment, it's not the case. Not like every bedroom has a. At least here, like my apartment, we don't have one bathroom.
Well, I'm going to call it now. Maybe this is because the grand design years from now in full release, we're going to have space fleas and STDs, so you need to have your own bathroom.
Got the space clamp? The clamp?
The space clap? Hey, that's another MedPen module, the STD
crotch space crickets.
But
space crotch cricket.
I mean,
yeah.
So with all the ranting that we've done about the Odyssey, overall, I actually really like the design.
Yeah, I love the visual design of it. It reminds me instantly of the detachable shuttle from the Endeavor. At first, I'm like, oh, I hope it's not like replacing that. Thank God they confirmed that thing still exists.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love, because I liked that design, so I'd like it here as well. And definitely, it's nice to see that design actually getting a 3-dimensional representation finally. Because we actually saw the model this time around at the IAE, a little holographic display of it. And we saw that one bit of it in the cinematic where you saw Jax Cleary flying off into the jump point to hell, essentially. Like, I want to go to the Pyro system. Got a death wish? I know you're going through a midlife crisis, Jax, but I mean, Pyro?
So just my own personal taste, I would, that front, I'm scrolled up at the top of the page where you got the picture of it flying through some kind of atmosphere. The only thing I would change is I'm not a fan of that very forward engine nacelle setup.
No,
I think
that would look better in between the other two,
or just with the four rear ones being enough. Like, that would be an okay design.
Yeah, where they're on they're not on the sides, but they're on top and bottom.
I'm actually okay with where the rear ones are. If you just deleted the front set and it was just like a smooth skin, maybe that's where your docking collars would be or something.
Yeah, like, no, that would work too. I'm just trying to think, how can they keep the side ones? Like, how can they keep the 5th and 6th, and it make it work?
See,
I think.
Why does it need that?
I don't think it does. I'm just saying, if they wanted to keep it, I think it would have just personally looked visually better if it was in between the other two.
I would just delete it. That's my personal taste. But yeah, I mean, it's a good ship in the sense that I like the design and its size and the capabilities that they're saying it can do. I'm okay with all those. The only issue I have is the price tag, because it's just way overpriced for what it can do.
Remember by the way, for anyone watching, Star Citizen, part of the holiday sale, all the game packages.
Woo.
Buy one, get one for a friend.
What's your take, Data? Do you like it? Do you not like it?
I am less interested in it because it's such a big ship. You would need a lot of people to crew it effectively. And also, my take on the price is that, I mean, there are people out there that have so much income that's just
it's like fuck your money
to them, and for everybody else,
work up to it in game.
I don't want to be the person to say it sucks if you can't afford it, but I mean,
yeah,
it's there to pledge for.
Are you a 1%er?
It's there to pledge for it to help produce the game. It's not there for you to, I don't know. This goes back to my feeling of the way they handle funding through pledges.
Yeah.
They market it as a car commercial when it needs to be marketed more as, this is a way for you to help fund the game, and in return we're giving you this.
Right, because at the end of the day, it's still crowdfunding. You're getting a reward for your crowdfunding. But they're marketing it as though, it's a purchase for an item, when that's not really what it is. It is just, here, give us money, and we'll give you this in interim.
It's the perception that you're buying something of value, when it really should be you're giving them money to help fund the game, and in return they're giving you something to play with.
Exactly, because again, it's still crowdfunding. All still
pulling
crowdfunding.
Out my box. So you're saying it's a marketing thing?
Yes, it is a marketing thing. Also, are you seeing this is the Endeavor shuttle, and that's why I want to keep the side one, just because it reminds me of shuttle.
Yeah.
concept art.
But again, it's only got the 4 nacelles showing, whereas the Odyssey has the
right.
6.
But I'm saying like that forefront engine has the similar design to the rear engine ever.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. I like that design. I wish it was better, or I guess better placed. Yeah.
But no, you brought up a good point, Data, about the manning size. That is something to be considered for people thinking about buying it, is that it is a bigger ship, so it's going to require
need a
the
crew.
manning.
You're totally going to need a crew. That's personally, I love the giant multi-crew ships. However, that's because I have a bunch of friends that follow me around that have to crew these things with. But I don't actually own any of them myself. So, no,
I just had an idea. What would you guys think of having a type of like 3D printer capability in the game that allows you to manufacture things like food and water?
So replicators from Star Trek.
Yeah, but have it based off of a certain amount of cargo supply or something that you need to.
Like you need raw material, like an actual printer, not Star Trek style. Let's convert just energy in.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking like you need to haul around, a couple of cubes, cargo,
essentially
sizes of
here's
this generic material, and
unexpirable
as long as you have that in your
foodstuffs that can be converted into whatever food matter your printer is capable of printing.
So I don't like the idea of food and water being printable, but I am 100% for being able to print equipment based on like materials you have on hand, because that would open up gameplay where you're scouting planets
R&D
and collecting
gameplay.
ores or resources, so you can turn them into something usable on the way.
Mm-hmm. Like you have a mining ship, you can go out mining, go deliver it to your buddy on this capital ship, whatever, and they have like a their Endeavor where they have an R&D facility that they can. Okay, let's make some custom sights or something for our gun or whatever the hell it is. Make custom gear add-ons and attachments and stuff to make your better loadout. I don't know.
Question?
Yo.
Yeah.
So let's use the Odyssey as the example. So they're saying that basically you can mine your quantanium so that you can stay out for extended periods of time. But yet we know that we already have it. There's survival mechanics in the game. You need to eat and drink so much. So what happens if you're out there? Now you've taken care of the fuel problem, but now you're limited by how much food and water you can carry.
How much crew do you have?
We don't know the mechanics, but I'm just saying, if you can produce your fuel, shouldn't we also have something that allows you to at least produce? Maybe it's not a high quality, but it's a basic quality of life, sustainable food and water, so that you can, if you have that Odyssey, you can stay out there for that extended time instead of going, hey, I spent all this money on this quantum fuel, but I got to go back for a hamburger.
Well, the reason that I don't want you to be able to just turn stuff into food and water is because I think it adds a variety or options to the game where, you're an exploration ship, so go to a planet or a moon and go collect some water and some food from the planet.
Which would add more gameplay
that's
to it,
where
where you have to actually collect water gameplay and stuff.
Well, that's where I was saying maybe have it tied in, have your capability to produce that tied into a generic type of substance that you need to keep an amount of in your cargo to be able to actually do that. So
you got to remember,
I'm not just saying like you've got a lump of coal and you turn it into a cheeseburger, but maybe it's you need to go planet side.
Oh, this carbon based.
So some whatever base components, you need to kill a certain amount of animals, and then it turns it into that base material that you keep in a cube form on your cargo ship. And as long as you've got a couple of those cubes, you can keep making food. But when you run out, then you do need to actually do that resupply.
Well, in that case, yeah, I'm 100% for it.
Yeah, no, I like that, because it means, you have the best of both worlds. You have the hunting gameplay in which you have to go find animals, kill them, because they do plan on having hunting.
In
fact, for anyone who doesn't know, Microtech is supposed to be home to these space yetis. So And obviously, Crusader's got the Stormwall whales.
Well, you can also tie it into, for the veggies out there that, they go and pick they go
Find
down
different
to a planet, pick a bunch of plants,
flora, yeah,
and turn that into whatever the base material
they can
is.
collect it, and then they have some kind of machine, whatever it is, that can turn them into this base material that they can use as printing material for this theoretical printer that be able to print out food.
Because
and obviously the water one is morely just let's collect water, because
the way I really want the gameplay to work is that the large ships don't go down to a planet because it's so inefficient with fuel consumption. That's why you have smaller ships like the Pisces or things with
Agree.
like runabouts where
Yep.
your main ship, it goes to a planet, you hop in your little ship, you go down, you collect the resources that you need, and you go back up to your ship, and then you continue on your way.
Which means they need to redesign
Absolutely.
the Carrick, because that's going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, like I think the idea of seeing a starfarer sitting on a planet-side landing pad should be a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, oh man, like something big's happening, or oh look, once a month refueling something, right? Station.
Yeah, or there's a big reason why they spent the time and effort to get that thing down here.
Yeah. I think people's expectation that every ship should be able to go down to a planet and that you should just be willy-nilly about it.
Every
is
ship,
wrong.
not every ship, but most ships should be able to go down, but they shouldn't be doing that normally.
The effort involved.
They should have the ability
and
to.
It should just
they
be
should
an everyday thing.
Right. They should have the ability to land, but they shouldn't be landing all the time. Is my, yes, they can land. Like, like Reclaimer
should be like the Reclaimer, where you really go, do I really, really want to go down there? Because this is going to be a pain in the ass getting back out.
Right, because obviously, say in emergency, you need to land. Like, you have no option. You need to land. So giving every ship the ability to land is kind of a must in terms of emergencies, but they're not supposed to be landing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There you
go.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
You make the conscious decision because something specific has happened where you need to go down there.
And there's consequences when you do it. Like, you're
going to burn tons of fuel, and
you may not even be able to get back up.
A long time because the atmosphere is thick to get back out. That kind of thing.
If you can,
and you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way: if a bangle goes down, you ain't getting that back up.
No.
So.
And I am 100% for some ships you just don't take into a gravity well because you're not coming out of it.
That's what happened. Like, one of the locations in the lore is a downed bangle that got pulled into a gravity well of a planet, and it's now a colony inside the bangle.
I agree. Like the Hull E, you should never take that thing into atmosphere. That thing should just break apart. Let me add, caveat, a loaded Hull E.
Right. With the cargo things extended.
Yeah. Even an unloaded one, I think, should have some serious problems just because it's
just large.
Overall design structure. I think it should not be built for planetary. So if you do take it down, like, maybe you're causing hull stress and damage, and maybe you will make it, but there's probably a lot of repairs you're going to have to do at the bottom end, and then same thing leaving, you're creating a lot of stress. So when you get it back up to space, maybe you need a whole new rework again.
Yep.
Like, so you're paying double the fine, going in and getting out. And you're like, do I really want to pay
either
that?
Double the fine, or say if you do it yourself at your own base or whatever it is, right?
Well,
eventually.
yeah.
Like,
the
then
fine
it's
is
either you're doing the fine or you're doing the time, because either way it's going to be a schlep and a pain.
Yeah, I'm just using the word fine for any kind of punitive thing you got to do. Time, money, effort, all of it.
What have you.
I'm not 100% for that right now, just because of where the game is. But
no,
future,
please, CIG, please do not implement this now. Give this other systems first.
And I really want people to have to think about what they do with their ships.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it adds more gameplay and immersion.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate to say it, but and I know I'm not popular for saying it, but I'm 100% behind people having to play the game, not just I'm gonna jump in and do something and then jump out and I'm done.
The one thing, like, this is, in my opinion, this is probably the best, my personal favorite aspect of Star Citizen. You think before you act as a gameplay, like as gameplay, like itself is.
And I think
that would qualify. Obviously, think: are you going to take this giant ship that is not exactly aerodynamic and is massive? Will be a real pain in the ass to get out of atmosphere if you can, and it's going to get damaged in landing, or take the tiny little ship that you have in your hangar and just go down in that, no problem, because you've done it thousands of times.
Yeah, and I think that's what CIG, Chris Roberts wants. Like, that's his intended gameplay, is to make you think, because he's
choices and consequences.
Yeah, in his Death of a Spaceman, granted it's very old, but he spells it out for you that he wants risk-reward consequences, and he says specifically, he doesn't like the idea of you not being concerned with the choices that you make. He thinks that makes for sloppy gameplay, and I absolutely agree.
Yeah. Also, Megjin1 is saying, you've got a bot. Can you take care of that then? Apparently we have a bot in the chat.
Get him.
But yeah, I mean, just to finish off my soapbox rant, I
agree.
I'm the kind of person who thinks that, like, when you drive, like in the real world, when you drive a vehicle, that's actually what you should be doing, not you're thinking about other things and reading your email.
No, if you're driving, you're driving.
Yeah, like that's your focus of attention, and that's what I want in the game. Is like you're playing the game. You're not just running around doing whatever you want, not paying attention. You should be focused on, when I do this, what's going to be the consequence of this.
And also, some of the best games are that, because if it's grabbing your attention and it allows you to lose yourself in it, in what you're doing and having fun and everything, that's a good game.
Yeah, I want the experience where I get into the PU, I start up the game and I go, I got a couple hours I'm going to play, and I jump in the PU, and what feels like 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh shit, it's been 3 hours. That's what I want.
If you're playing a game but you're thinking of something else, unless that something else is a chick, you're probably not doing something right, or the game sucks.
Mm-hmm. All right, put my box away.
Next topic is Luminalia 2951. So that's in-universe Christmas.
Is this really a topic?
I mean, it is really? Because they have a bunch of events tied to it.
Yeah, I know.
So Luminalia annual holiday celebrated both by Banu and humans on December 22nd, involving gift exchanges, present hunts, glowing lights, food and drink gatherings. Stanton traders invite you to look for hidden gift boxes around every landing zone. Pretty much every year, Luminalia, you'll have these little presents. These Luminalia they're called Luminalia gifts. So they're presents, usually green in color.
And they're not hidden.
They are hidden. When I say they're hidden, it's kind of like Easter egg hunting. Like not.
I totally disagree.
No, not Easter egg like oh, here's a reference to something, like an actual egg.
No. To me, Easter egg hunting implies that they're hidden. And I'm telling you, like, I just watched somebody stream last night, and the guy was walking around Grimhex, and literally every 3 steps that he took, he was bending over and picking up a package on the floor. Like,
yes, some of them are on the floor, some of them are on tables. When I say they're hidden,
go ahead.
They're hidden within the environment to blend in. They're not actually hidden. It's not like, oh, you have to open this door that's behind a crate or something. No, they're sort of just scattered everywhere. You will not miss any of them.
Yeah.
They're easy to spot. They're green and red, Christmas colors. Green packaging with red face on it. Wrapping.
They look like they're about 4 inches by 4 inches.
Yep, and they can hold it in one hand. And it's They're everywhere. Area 18, they're all over the spaceport. Grimhex is probably the best place to look for them. Honestly.
Yeah, I
Also,
watched a guy
they-
pick up probably about 20 of them in
Yeah.
about like 50 feet. So
And what's
Also, they spawn on loot crates.
yeah,
oh nice.
Yeah.
And the best part about it is collect as many as you can and then sell them at a trading kiosk because they're worth 1,000 a pop.
quick question: can you move a loot crate? Like when you're down in a bunker mission and you find a loot crate, can you actually tractor beam it around?
No,
No.
it's static.
Oh man,
Yeah. No, this way you can just take the crate with you, right?
yeah. Why not? I mean, as long as it takes up cargo space.
STL
STL
Youngblood did a good video where supposedly if you destroy a ship with stuff in it, you'll have a little box of the ship story, and you could be able to move everything into that box and technically have this giant crate with a ship worth inventory.
That's how people are looting whole bunkers and then taking it back home.
Right, so that's pretty much the only way you can really do it, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Luminalia present hunting, definitely a thing I'm going to be doing. It's fun because 1,000 a pop, you get a big backpack on, and you can just collect hundreds of those little things.
I want my whiskey.
Pretty good money.
This is pretty much the equivalent of whiskey, like old school 2.5 whiskey.
You just can't drink it.
There's something about picking up that bottle and looking at it,
Well, it's also cool. A really nice bottle.
Yeah.
Good coloration of that whiskey too. I mean, that looks good. That looked really good.
Yeah, art department did a good job on it.
Label kind of like Jack Daniels and also some other stuff there. It's nice.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the Luminalia present hunt in game. Outside of game, screenshot contest on Spectrum, and pretty much the first prize winner is how is it? I know second prize is a Ares, and as annoying as it may be, I kind of hope for second prize so I can get the freaking Ares. It's an Inferno, not the Ion, which I would prefer. Yeah, but okay, it's Aegis Redeemer for first place. Second place is Ares Inferno, and third place is an Argo Raft. So, actually, pretty decent prizes, honestly. At least I think so. Definitely want second place over the freaking Redeemer. Sorry, but I like the Ares. Cooler shit. But yeah, pretty much the presents, for anyone who's watching, they look like this, but handheld size. Smaller than your phone size. Green and red. So yeah, they're pretty cool. Right there. So that's the screenshot contest. Other contest is take a close look at your well, this is a note here saying take a close look at corporate identity of your ship and vehicle manufacturers. Sign a greeting card or message following their style. So essentially, it's make a greeting card, and they have this every year. It's a greeting card contest where you have to make it in universe from your ship's manufacturer. So I have a Drake ship and an Origin ship, and an RSI ship. So I can choose one of those three manufacturers and go, okay, I'm going to make an RSI greeting card, right? So it's company greeting card that's passed around the office of RSI's manufacturing plant. So it's in-universe kind of greeting card contest like that. I think it's pretty cool. It's kind of fun. And lastly, there's also present missions in game where you collect giant presents. Oh, here the little tiny.
It's crowdfunding marketing.
Yeah. But lastly, we have free gifts every day. So yes, day 1 was a sweater in game. Day 2 was a icon for Spectrum, and day 3, which is today, is a freaking poster. It is a JPEG. It is literally something I can just right-click on and bam, there you go, I have it. But whatever, it's stupid.
Well,
I think if now here's the thing: if they were in the future, and I'm talking like end goal when the game, if the game is eventually released, and we can customize the background of the main menu. If this is one of the options we can get because it's in our hangar, because this poster will be in your hangar when you claim it. I already claimed it. Then that would be nice, because first off, you'd be able to customize your background, but I assume that won't be the case. However, since it is in your hangar, I wonder if it's going to be a poster you can put up in game, in your hab or hangar or whatever it is. So, because aside from that, it's a freaking JPEG that, again, I can just click on more info and get get probably, boom, right click. Now I have 2 tabs of the image. Hooray! Luminalia wallpaper. It is a cool image, though. Just it's a little.
Yeah, but the
weird.
ship isn't even in like a Christmas livery.
No, it's not.
Paint job.
And it's but it is dropping presents like tomorrow. It's not even red. You can't even make like a Santa sleigh joke because there's. At least if it was red, you can say, "Oh well, dropping presents like Santa." I know. I just feel like today's gift was very, very disappointing compared to like the first one. It was an in-game item, so like yeah, okay, cool. The second one, it was a little Spectrum badge, which is kind of nice because I always do Spectrum badges for all sorts of kind of the norm for CH. But then this one's kind of just poster. It's cool, and whoever made it, really well done. It looks great. But like, why is this the gift of the day?
I think you're putting way too much thought into these.
I totally am, but then again, that's the whole thing. Oh, so we have 12 days of gifts. So that's pretty cool. Until December 22nd. And as I mentioned earlier, discounted starter packs. So invite your loved ones to Versed with these special discounted holiday starter packs, which come with an enhanced 24-month insurance. Has no purpose at the moment, so don't worry about it. Get them while they last. These deals will melt away with the holiday season on January. So until January 10th, you can get a holiday, like a discounted $40 starter pack or $63 Star Citizen Squadron combo pack. Yeah. Alright, next is Inside Star Citizen. Episode where they talked about the ground vehicles. It was disappointing. It was good, but not as good as it could have been.
Yeah, I wouldn't say disappointing. It just wasn't as.
I was expecting more, given that it was titled and about ground vehicles, but they barely talked about ground vehicles.
But that was the one specifically about Gravlev, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they detailed what they've done to Gravlev pretty specifically.
Yeah, I was gonna say that like the information that they gave on it was interesting, but overall, I just thought that the episode in general had much less information than what we've been getting for the past couple weeks. That's my only drawback from it.
And I think that that's probably why I was disappointed. Because we've been getting really good informative episodes, and then this like, oh,
yeah,
this is another Star Citizen light inside Star Citizen LTE.
But I mean, what they did say about the Gravlev was of interest. I still think there's some issues.
Oh, there's definitely issues. I've tested it.
Yeah. Well, to me, and me and Mando had kind of talked about this before we went live, but one of the big things that I took away from it is that from the way the guy was talking about how the 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 Gravlev is going to settle down when you get off of it, but it's going to take a little, like it waits a certain amount of time after you've gotten off of it to settle down, made me think that the guy isn't fully aware of how vehicles are used.
Yeah.
Because to me, what he pointed out it's going to do means that it's still going to have I'm still going to have problems parking my bike inside a Cutlass because it's still going to be trying to ride across the ceiling.
Yep.
Until 2 to 3 seconds after I've gotten off of it, and it's had time to bounce around and cause damage, and then it settles down. To me, I think the bikes should, like when you're not moving, should settle down to the lowest point automatically. I'm
Honestly,
not
what
saying instantly, but like I. Sorry, Dad. I'm not
or
trying
give
to
us
cut you
full
off. Let me just
control.
finish this
We
up,
can
and then you
settle.
guys
We can
jump
set
in.
it down.
But I just think that like if the bike's not moving, it should automatically start to settle down. Maybe not instantaneously, but over a couple seconds it settles, and then you get off of it and it stays at that level until you get back on it and start moving. That was my only thing.
Ideally, we should be able to adjust the height of it ourselves, regardless of.
You can.
Yeah.
You can use strafe up and down to adjust how high it is off the ground, and it'll stay at that height. What I think they need to do is give it a landing mode where it reduces power down to like 10 or 15%, so you can't jet forward, and it drops it all the way down as low as it'll go without scratching the ground, so you can load it
Okay.
on vehicles safely and then get on and off of it safely.
Yeah, that would make sense. Absolutely. But yeah, just the way the guy answered stuff made me think like you haven't actually you're concentrating on the Gravlev, but you're not actually taking it out and interacting with these ships, because otherwise you would you would know what I'm thinking right off the bat, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and as of the latest PTU patch, it does not handle well when you try to load it in vehicles right now.
I haven't tried the PTU.
So it's consistent.
Yeah.
So current Gravlev is very rough, gets stuck on geometry, bugs out a lot, don't say. New system that allows bikes to move independent of suspension. Not gonna bottom out, bump into the ground, crash off rocks, fly off into space, much less glitchy and more reliable, according to the patch note. Not the patch notes, but notes for Gravlevs in Star Citizen. Improved handling for turns and height control, which is good. Implementing anti-fall so bikes don't crash into the ground from big jumps. Now that's fine. I just hope that it's
confirmed that works, and it's pretty nice.
Okay, but I do hope there is a limit. Like you can't just drop from orbit with it.
Yeah,
just because
that's
physics...
what I wanted to get in on. Is I don't like the idea of being able to be 5-10 clicks up and drop the bike and it just magically survives.
No, 5-10 clicks. That's a big jump. That's I think okay. Something
so
like
here's
15 clicks or 50
can
clicks.
I finish?
No.
Okay. Shut up.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I don't like the idea. I just picked that as a magic number, Mando.
Okay.
I was just for the sake of the argument. All I'm saying is, if it's very high, I don't think the Gravlev should automatically save the day every single time. I would like to see a certain height limitation, and maybe it's a graded scale where if you're in the mid zone, it causes damage, but the bike doesn't fully explode. But if you're at the max height, then when you hit the ground, guess what? That thing explodes like a big giant cannonball. Something to that effect to stop people, because the community's already talking about like, oh, cool, now I can air launch out the back of my MSR up at altitude and go in and hit that target. And I don't like that idea unless you're lower down to the ground, where it can take that punishment is all I'm getting at. Go ahead.
The reason that isn't going to happen is because terminal velocity is so low, or maybe it isn't. Like, what is terminal velocity in meters per second in real life? Does anybody know?
I don't know it in meters, but in feet, it's what is it, 172 feet per second.
Yeah, so the fall rate right now in Star Citizen, I think, is low. It's not fast enough. It feels really floaty. So
I think
the
it should be
maximum.
tied into gravity, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, the maximum fall rate right now, I think, is like around 150 meters a second, and the bike can travel at 200 meters a second. So there's no reason why the Gravlev wouldn't be powerful enough to stop you falling at that rate, and it does. So um, I wish it was more intuitive, like you had more control over it, so you could fail if you did it wrong. But right now, it's just purely automatic.
So you're okay, because to me, the fall rate should depend on the atmosphere conditions and the gravity of whatever the object is that you're landing on. In the sense that, I think each moon or planet should have variations.
Right.
And I think the bike should react to those variations instead of just having a set standard fall rate. And if it's a low G planet, then yeah, I think that height that you can drop from should be higher. But I still think that if you're on a regular G planet, regular meaning 1G planet,
or Hurston, which is 2.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm comfortable with saying, yeah, you can drop a bike out from 5 miles up and you're going to be okay. I don't. To me, that's a little godlike.
Well, there are many things that I would like Gravlev to do, which it does not do.
I mean,
True.
how about just freaking function? That would be
Based
nice.
on the current system that they have right now in DTU, Gravlev will be able to recover from being dropped from any height at the moment. They may change it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it doesn't make any sense that you could drop something from orbit and it would survive the fall. But
yeah,
unless it was designed to do exactly that.
The reason it will survive from a fall right now is because the mechanics they have in place that control the speed of how fast you fall are not set up correctly, in my opinion.
Hey, we got another
Gravity
bot.
does not have a strong enough pull on vehicles in general.
Yeah. I definitely don't think that what we have now is what we'll have, in the future. Absolutely. But
no, and that's why we're trying to give this feedback so that we can get what the future is, but give the feedback say, hey, this doesn't work. We need something else.
But on the flip side, I understand that there's a weird zone that they got to play with and they got to straddle and figure out what works best, because I still want you to be able to, take that thing off of physical land features and do jumps. Like I don't think that should be retarded. So maybe it's a mechanic where, like, as long as you're launching off of planetary surfaces, I'm just using that as an all-encompassing ground term. But as long as you're launching off of something on the ground, I think you should have a high probability of survival. But maybe the mechanic only kicks in if you're launching out of another vehicle, doing an air launch, essentially. Then it starts calculating some distances and says, yeah, no, I think you're a little too high. This might not work on this planet's gravity pull. That's my
and your
thinking.
orientation of the bike, like nose down, or are we talking like your...
Well,
that should also take
that.
You can't. It automatically levels you out as soon as you enter gravity. The problem is they're trying to design it to function so that anybody can pick it up and fly it without having to have much skill. And the consequence of that is that it's very simplistic.
Has anyone
I just want to be able to
seen...
tune it myself,
I wonder if any of them have ever actually ridden a motorcycle.
I was saying, like a real motorcycle, I want to be able to tune
something
it
that
myself.
I was really curious about.
Yeah, that's that's dangerous.
Yeah, it is. I love
Takes
doing
skills.
it.
Can't just
I had
pick it
a
up and drive like a car.
In the real world, I once upon a time had a bike and I had to get rid of it once I realized that I was about to kill myself.
Yeah, I've got a crotch rocket in the garage.
What kind?
It's only a 650, but
Okay. Yeah, I had that way back in the 90s. I had what was that? A Kawasaki ZX6.
Oh, nice.
okay, yeah, 600.
Yeah.
I purposely did not get a 600 or a 1000 cc because I know myself too well. I don't need that
Oh,
kind of power.
I came about 3 years after I got rid of that ZX6. I was stationed in Spain, and they had a special deal where as a military person, you could buy a Ducati motorcycle tax free.
Oh
And
wow.
I came so freaking close to doing that. I was like, literally had the brochure sitting on the coffee table, like getting ready to walk out the door and go to the Ducati dealership and slap down the card. And for some reason, I didn't do it. Now I'm thankful because I'd be a red smear somewhere. But anywho, Star Citizen.
Yes. Also, Jared teased an unannounced hover bike that will be
Yeah.
revealed around Luminalia. So sometime the
It's
next.
not necessarily a hover bike, some kind of hover vehicle.
Well, the notes here from hover bike, but yeah, it may not be a bike, but essentially unannounced vehicle. That's going to be.
I mean, that's the only reason they're doing a Gravlev rework right now is
Mhm.
because they've got another vehicle. Another
And
type.
speaking of 316, you yeah, Gravlev rework. Gravlev has been upgraded, doing physics models, stability improvements, and adjusted height.
I
Law
think
system improvements include reduced acquisition of low-level crime stats, applying a victim's name, infraction notifications, replace the trespass zones around prisons. Blocking a missile will now render the ship as hostile, which, yeah, blocking a missile, that's not like, oh, I accidentally targeted you because I'm cycling through targets. That's I am going into missile operator mode, then locking on. Which means
yeah,
you have
but
them
I can
targeted.
also see that if you're in combat and you're already in missile mode and you got a couple different targets in front of you and you start to lock on to the wrong target, there should be a little bit of a grace period there to go, oh shit, I selected the wrong target.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my opinion here is that it should mark the ship that is missile locking you, but it shouldn't automatically make it hostile. They need like an intermediate um
Yeah.
like marking like
Mm-hmm.
this guy's green, he's friendly. This guy is yellow, he's got his weapons armed and he's locking you, and this guy is hostile because he's actively fired something at you
Yep.
to
I'm off.
differentiate because somebody turning red automatically means that you're going to get fired on by most of the people.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
also, and that's actually a great warning system. Like, okay, this guy's yellow compared to the guy who is red. That's the more immediate threat. It's also
What if
it's better for letting the player know which one to prioritize.
Yeah.
what if you had a system that said, so basically have those same three coloration variants, but green is, hey, that's a buddy or somebody who's not doing anything hostile, hasn't done anything hostile to me or anyone else. Yellow, either one, this guy fired on somebody, he didn't necessarily kill him, but he fired on people, so therefore he's questionable, whereas red is, this guy fired on people and sustained it and killed somebody, so he's hostile to everybody.
Well, in this case, this is specifically about someone who's targeted you. So
Yeah. I
it,
wasn't talking about this specific system. I'm just saying in general that might be a good way to differentiate people.
well, I mean, right now, anybody who's got a crime status automatically marked red. So I think the last case is already taken care of. Um, we've talked at length about what I would like to see in regards to the way weapons are handled on ships. I don't think we need to go into that again, but I think anybody who's flying around with their weapons powered up should be marked as a potential hostile.
Yeah, we're going to end up rehashing this whole thing if we go
We
any
will if
further.
we go down this. So I'll stop. I'll get off my box.
I mean, essentially, it's look, whatever system we have right now, it's not working. We need a better system, and that is questionable depending on who you ask. So,
yeah.
I want a more complex, comprehensive system.
Agree. One thing I wanted to throw out there before we moved on to this topic was I just wanted to say I think this latest Gravlev, I think Gravlev is basically the new turrets, which is turrets went through like 3-4 iterations before we got to where we are now. And every single time they came out, they went, "This is the new and improved, the best." And pretty much every single time the community went, no. So I think the Gravlev we got right now, this is probably like iteration 3. Definitely. And I still think we probably got an iteration 4 or 5
we got a few
in
more.
The works.
It's a shame too, because like the Gravlevs at one point were really fun to use. Like they obviously needed to work, but they were still fun. Right now it's just,
I mean, right now in 3.16 they definitely
right now in the
extra
live
work
build
because they're having problems, but they are headed in the right direction.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what turrets did too. You know, every step was a baby step towards something good with a couple of bad things, and then
trial and error, right? Trial and error.
Yeah.
Also, 3.16 has atmospheric bounties. Data, you've played the. What the hell is atmospheric bounties? I assume it's just dogfighting and.
Bounties spawn around planets, like major planets now, instead of having to go to a moon or in an asteroid field.
Like that's it.
And in atmosphere, right?
The one that I saw, not personally, I saw somebody doing a video about it, and it looked like it spawned high enough that it was outside of atmosphere. It may have still been in gravity, so maybe it just spawned too high. I'm not really sure, but I mean, they say atmospheric bounty, so you would assume that the ship is in atmosphere.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of the confusion is that there's also a gameplay style that's becoming kind of popular right at the same time, which is apparently people with high wanted levels are going out and basically sitting around at surface level or just above surface level to draw people down into the atmosphere for the dogfighting PvP type stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's might be part of the confusion where people are like, "What are they talking about?" Because I've seen a few videos where people are doing that now. Apparently, it's a thing.
That's unfortunate.
Just throwing that out there.
Is it unfortunate that people are doing that, or that it's being confused?
I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't either.
Wait, that they're luring people. Well, it's true because usually they just log off them from the server, but.
Well, they're just they're luring whoever decides to come down and try and get them. Is all it is.
Okay. Okay. I thought there was more like
being attacked from space into atmosphere.
Okay, I thought it's like they lure them and trap them type thing. No, this is just, hey, let's fight in atmosphere. Okay, that's
Yeah.
That's me misinterpreting. My mistake.
Yeah. It's Jumptown 3.0.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, why fight on even footing when you can fight with an advantage?
Absolutely. There's no such thing as a fair fight.
And if you're fighting fair, you're doing it wrong.
Yep.
Life is pain. Anyone who tells you otherwise is trying to sell you something.
Always bring a nuke to a knife fight. Anywho.
Yeah, so finally, Jumptown 2.0. They talked about it in Site Star Citizen. Releasing in 3.16 and should be activated for winter break. And last week we were speculating where it would be. So it's going to be obviously Jumptown, Yella. It's going to be Raven's Roost, Paradise Cove. So I think Raven's Roost is somewhere around Microtech, and Paradise Cove is somewhere around ArcCorp, I think.
Yeah, the more I'm hearing about it, the less impressed I am with it.
Because what we came up with last week was better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they're bringing something in, and it's going to be something that randomly kind of happens, and that's good for the community and for the game. But I wish that it was more in depth.
But yeah, what we came up with, because we were talking about every location and all that. But yeah, so Jumptown 2.0 activates 2 missions will be distributed to all players, both legal mission and criminal mission. The criminal side is that Rudo is a mission game, will provide you a mission to steal drug boxes at a drug lab, so either Jumptown, Ravens, Paradise Cove, and sell them to Grimhex. So you have to take these boxes to Grimhex to sell them. The legal side of the mission will be confiscate that contraband and take it to the admin office for selling. So this way,
when you say confiscate, though, they're not talking about you go and kill people and take it away from them. They mean
like you can go to the same exact location, and essentially the same gameplay. You're going to Jumptown or Ravens Roost or Paradise Cove to get that box, except instead of selling it to Grimhex, you're taking it somewhere else to sell to the admin office to bring it to the authorities, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a race, like who gets there first
program, but with drugs.
Yeah. And so it's like who can get there first, so that one guy trying to help the authorities and bring the cops the drugs, and the other guy's trying to sell the drugs to other criminals.
And that part, I like that idea. I like that they included that, because that does that gives a reason for people who are normally law-abiding and wouldn't be Jumptown oriented to have a reason, if they want to go, oh yeah, let me try this out. Like it widens the chance of experiencing it and finding out that maybe this is something I do like, to people who wouldn't normally go that route. So
it also
on that
opens,
level, I think it's a good.
Yeah, it widens the barrier for entry, right? Like for sort of thing for this type of game. Yeah.
And it lets people dabble who wouldn't, who
otherwise wouldn't.
Guys, you're like, I would never go to Jumptown because that's only where bad people hang out. Now they've lessened that stigma of only bad people are there. They can say, no, I'm doing it for good. So, more people might be interested in it. That aspect of it, I do like.
Yeah. So legal players with the mission won't get a crime stat by local police forces if they get scanned, because the police forces will scan them. The scans will say, he has been deputized because you have the mission. They'll be, he's been deputized to carry this because he's helping us, essentially do this drug sting operation. So.
I totally trust that mechanic working 100%.
Yeah. No, that's gonna blow up in your face, literally.
Nobody is ever going to get a crime stat from
it is definitely good that it's there at all compared to not.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a good thing. Working is a different matter entirely, but it is good that it's there. How the mission might even fucking glitch out given the last patch.
I mean, there's going to be bugs.
Yeah.
Just the way Star System rolls, you figure out what works and what doesn't, and work around.
And you got to roll with the
go with the flow. It's good business for Klesher, man. More people in there.
I've been there both in 315 and 350. Let's see. And shops will be scaled so that you won't have to worry about stock waiting for sales. You're not going to be there for hours having to sell it. They're going to scale the shops to this. Unlike original Jumptown, where you had to sell a certain amount of units per minute. Yeah,
the market was saturated, so you could only sell 150,000 worth at a time when you've got 3 or 4 million worth on you.
Yeah, it was a little bit hectic, but
that's having terminal.
And I like that because
essentially having a completely full freelancer.
Yeah.
That I just brought up from Jumptown, and I think I spent close to 45 minutes at the Grimhex terminal. Just click sell. Wait a minute. Click sell. Wait a minute.
Yep.
Yeah.
Made a lot of money.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, it's not you were at the home stretch. You were kind of safe at that point, but you were at Grimhex. Nothing was going to happen. But it was kind of like, yeah, no, you're just sitting here waiting. It's
you're
not
just
fun.
mouse clicking.
Yeah, you're just mouse clicking. So, and you're hogging a terminal for other people.
Yep.
There's only 2 terminals. But yeah, now you won't have to worry about that, which is nice. So that's actually an improvement over the original. As is the whole legal mission for it. Because it gives reason for why there would be multiple players there, as opposed to just criminals fighting it out. Hey, who gets to get the drugs?
Yeah.
And hold the outpost. Although you're still going to have that anyway. You're still going to have like rival gangs, as it were, or orgs fighting it out. Like, no, this is our outpost. Okay, we're going to hold the location and have all of our various cargo ship pilots come in, buy some drugs, or take the drugs, because it's actually physical crates, right? Put it on their ship and then fly out.
They haven't said. I'm not sure it is.
I think it might be both. I think they said previously, but however it's going to be, you still have to get the drugs onto the ship somehow, whether it's physical crates or trading terminals. So you have to have the pilots or crew with you to help move those boxes. The pilot would have to buy the crates to the trading terminals on his ship, and then they'd have to fly off. And then if you have multiple, like, okay, we're an org of, say, we got 10 people with us, and 5 of them have ships, like freelancers or whatever. Like, they all want to participate and sell, make us money. And it's like, so they have a whole operation there and everything like that. And then you have like another org. It's like, oh no, we're taking over, and then you have a whole war there at that one little outpost. That was what original Jumptown was. So.
Yeah, and
remember, we held it.
This the system, it creates a hot zone for people who want to engage in combat operations for whatever reason, to swoop in and have it out with just about everybody that's there.
Yep, we held it back during the original Jumptown for a good few hours.
I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, because now we have ballistas, we have the tank. You can literally fly in a C2, drop off 2 tanks and a ballista.
Sniper rifles that work.
Yeah, and lock it down. And if a ship, like a smaller ship, even like larger ships, if they get pegged by a couple of tank rounds, they're done for.
You know what I'm really looking forward to? When we finally get AI flying around in ships.
Yes.
And everybody's going to Jumptown, and like the servers chat is just littered with, hey, everyone show up, let's do this, get as much as you can. And then somebody types in chat, AI's coming in, and nobody knows whether or not they're getting like the SEAL Team 6 good server AI, or they're getting the super wonky, like, non-responsive
drug addict
one.
AI, yeah.
And you got people just going, and then like just all of a sudden the chat's like, stay away from Jumptown. We got the SEAL Team 6 AI. Oh no.
Yeah, you got
and that's kind of
battle group rolling.
That is kind of the fun part about the AI at the moment, because either you have the SEAL Team 6 AI, or you have like drug addict AI.
Yeah.
I do. If CIG by some miracle is listening to this, I want both to be actual things. Like, I want to have like difficulty levels with the AI where, yes, some of the AI are just top-notch god tier level shooters and everything, and tacticians, and then you have the AI that are just dumb as bricks and high on drugs.
Yeah,
I totally want that.
The plan.
I totally want that, but I foresee, if we were to get that, I can foresee the 1% PvP community just going up in arms because they can't beat these AIs, and it's unfair.
But that's kind of like the whole point is. No, I say do it. Like, have variety in the difficulty. Have them be either, and it's not just like, oh, you have 2 AI, one's extremely difficult, one's extremely easy. No, that's one end of the spectrum. There's another end of the spectrum, and then you have a shit ton in between.
Oh, I totally agree. I'm 100% behind it, but I just think that there's going to be that 1% of the PvP community that's like, how come I'm not the god? This is unfair.
Because it ain't Fallout 3.
They're going to be out there. That's when I'm going to type in chat, get good, son.
No, you should type and you take a sip from your trusty Vault 13 canteen. Angrily take a sip.
I want to not know and be wondering what kind of AI I'm going up against as far as their skill levels go, because that's what you're doing when you go up against a human player.
Yeah,
I want
you
the
don't
same
know.
Experience.
Right. I mean, obviously, if you're playing like a matchmaking game where you're getting into a match where you're ranked and stuff, you're gonna know obviously or get a good idea of. But yeah, no.
Well,
in
when
general,
I see that like I'm doing your mom XX33, I got a pretty good idea of what this guy's gameplay style is gonna be.
You mean it's gonna suck?
Well, CIG has detailed in the past their plans for AI and skill.
Well, their goal is to have it where AI and player are effectively indistinguishable.
So, question: should the AI like drugged out level? Should their AI name be something like "I'm doing your mom XX312"?
I think at the end goal, I think we're all gonna have to
throw us off. So we think we're dealing with that young punk.
I don't know if this is the case. Data, if you know, please correct me. But I think the end goal is that we're gonna have to choose like actual names for our characters because.
I mean, I'd be okay with that.
But yeah, I'm totally fine with it.
And then you have to create an avatar for your guy.
Yeah,
that would make
a lot of
sense.
Remember, like based on the whole Death of a Spaceman thing and how that works, like okay, your character, like okay, you regenerated as much as you can with this character. He's now dead. It's your next of kin character. Hold on, call.
That also means that we're gonna get all those really bad names once they take away, you using your account name, because they can control your account name, but when they open it up to just any name, it's gonna.
Have a guy named.
There are ways that they'll be able to control names.
They're gonna have a filter or something.
Yeah, but even the filter will always have some kind of a workaround. You're always gonna have
like numbers, like my balls itch, but it's
3521.
The A's are 4s and the L's are 1s.
I mean, there's an easy way to get around that, and that's just have a certain number of surnames and what am I like?
Have like a master list.
First names and last names and
combinations, like specific predetermined combinations that don't work. Yeah.
And it's easy to have a large enough pool that you can come up with unique things, but not give people the ability to just type in whatever they want. That's the route I would go.
And also, like, for instance, you don't want to have probably
because it's restrictive, but it's restrictive for a reason.
Yeah, it's not. It's kind of like you don't want to see someone running around with the last name Asswipe.
I mean, they're trying to make this game be semi-realistic and immersive. So
when you see someone running around with the last name Asswipe,
why'd you have to go and make this personal, Mando? Just kidding.
No asswipe for you, call sign.
But I used the 5s for the S's. It's okay.
You used 5s for the S's. It's Asswipe, but they're Z's. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Asswipe. Or like the classic joke, like, oh, what do we name him? No, if we name him this, he can get bullied. And package for Mr. Asswipe, it's Asswipe. But yeah, it's.
Alright, the Army-Navy game was this weekend, and there was a player on the Navy team who had his last name was Fagot.
Oh no.
Oh no.
And they made a point of always pronouncing it with a French pronunciation.
Go figure.
Fagot.
Go fucking figure, yeah.
Fagot receives the ball, but yet you're seeing his name plastered on the back of his jersey, so everyone knows exactly what they're saying. It's just like, man, that guy's had a rough life, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But he's gonna be tough.
Right.
My name's Sue.
Yeah. That is true.
But anyway,
that's funnier to me because of all the people who probably get offended by it when it's just
right, because it's an Army-Navy game, and which team was he on?
He was Navy.
Yeah, no, they were all fucked.
Go Navy, beat Army. And they did. Anywho.
Major One in chat saying, dang, bots seem to be coming out of the woodwork. Yeah, we seem to be popular with the AI. It's either they don't like us or they like us.
The first step to getting nationalized.
Yeah, just bots doing what bots do.
Bots do what bots do. I'm definitely looking forward to Jumptown regardless, though, just because it's going to be fun. It may not be like old Jumptown, but it'll still be fun. We can still try and take it.
And
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it gives the opportunity for orgs to do group activity.
Aside from making shit up, yeah.
Be engaging people, because the value of the drugs there is going to be high enough that people are going to want to get there.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, right now, if we wanted to do an org op, like, I've been trying to get an org op together for months, but, like, I essentially have to make it up. And then I have to get people interested in it because I'm making up gameplay for us to do, as opposed to, hey, let's do X in game when there's not really much to do in game.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things is that I agree with everything you guys have said, and I'm looking forward to it as well. The only thing I would change is don't call it Jumptown, because that's causing people to automatically associate it with original.
Yeah,
if they were to just call it some other type of mission name, I think you'd see the community just totally.
I wonder what they're gonna.
Board, no questions
what did they call it? This I'm gonna go back to ISC for a second. What did they call it in ISC? What was the mission? Like the title on the Moby, because they had the Moby Glass for what the mission looks like. The mission title.
They're referring to it as Jumptown 2.0, but I think it actually has a real.
Yeah, I'm saying it has, like, what's the name of the mission when you get it?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Moby Glass. Yeah. Because then you can call it that.
When the event happens, it's going to flash across everybody's screen that it's active. And I'm pretty sure it's not going to be called Jumptown.
No, probably not.
Have a real name.
Well, under personal, it's Right for the Taking. That's the Rudo mission.
Okay.
I'm trying to see if they show the legal one as well.
So once again, the devs are actually doing it right, and it's marketing that keeps slapping a Jumptown 2.0 label on it to get us to look at it.
Okay, it's
marketing again.
Marketing. It's like Canada. Just blame marketing at this point. Yeah, it's called Right for the Taking. At least the Rudo mission's called Right for the Taking.
Good to know. But yeah, I'm 100%.
Oh my god, I know what we can call it.
I think it's going to be good for everyone.
The Great Holiday Heist. I don't know. We'll think of something that's holiday themed. It's a holiday event. Gotta give it something that's holiday. Oh, that's probably why they went with the outpost that they did. Jumptown on Yella. Frozen Lyria,
well, also,
another frozen moon.
They're updating the actual building structures to be that new style that they're showing with all the added stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So there's actual like little walkways made.
Yeah.
It gives you the sense of, hey, this has been used before.
Yeah, because the old style was just
it was one building.
Sniper heaven for anyone walking out.
Oh my god, yes.
Granted, you didn't have a good working sniper rifle, but
actually, no, we didn't at the time. We didn't. We only had two at the time that it happened. We had the scalpel,
and the
which
sights were all
sucked,
glitched, so you couldn't
and
really
the arrowhead,
see far distance.
Yeah, and
so
draw
your
distance
best bet
sucked.
was to have like a buddy hiding on the ground, like by the front door,
or underneath the structure.
Okay, shoot now.
Yeah,
and
or
you
underneath
just
the
blindly
structure.
fire at the front door.
Oh, we were using. I don't remember what you guys were using, but I remember what guns I was using. I was using the Custodian SMG when we raided and held the building. That was a fun little weapon then. Still fun now. It's actually effective at killing.
I got like maybe about 10 more minutes I can do.
No, I think we're gonna end here because we've been going for
Okay.
like 3 hours, and that's really it. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all the topics. But yeah, What's face? What was the last one? Raven's Roost. That's on, I think, Microtech, or one of Microtech's moon. They're all in snowy environments and cold environments. The holiday event. They have it in snowy holiday themed areas.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So I guess we have to come up with a better name for it than just Jumptown. No. Yeah, this is gonna be it, I think, for episode 49. Shadows. I should probably retitle this to just Dear CIG. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
And then just any ideas on what's coming up? What we're expecting for the next week?
That's a good bring up the this week stuff, because I forgot to do that. This week, Link.
Oh, do they release like the schedule of what they're going to cover?
Yeah, for this week, it's every Monday.
5 hours to go.
Okay, so obviously we got this
No.
week in Star Citizen. Obviously, comes out every month.
I randomly read it. So
lore posts on Tuesday. It is Data Cache Widowmaker. Oh, so it's going to be talking about Widow, which is the drug that was infamous from Jumptown. That was the Jumptown drug, Widow. Let's see. Wednesday is going to be roadmap update and roadmap roundup as usual. Inside Star Citizen on Thursday, and Star Citizen Live on Friday, as well as subscriber vault update.
what's the vault update? Do you know?
I don't know. Data, do you know?
I have no idea.
Okay. Cool. And then what? So the next major thing we're looking at out of Star Citizen should be, I guess, whatever that vehicle is that they're hinting about, and
Oh yeah,
I guess
the
316 drop.
unannounced cover vehicle.
Yeah, the scuttlebutt on 316 is that they're trying to push it out by the end of this week.
Really? I'll be impressed if they meet that.
Yeah, I will
Just
too.
Same.
Their past history is usually like December 23rd,
Or 24th.
drop it at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Last minute, literally last minute. So Christmas Eve usually. But if they get it by then and it's actually working, awesome. If they don't, then you know what? That's fine.
Yeah. But the downside is usually that's also when the mass vacations start. So
Right, where they're
you're
gone
pretty much going to be
until
looking at
mid-January. So
yeah, which means any problems that we have with
we're stuck with
316
until mid-January.
yeah,
If not,
before they
actually
even
no,
start
until later, until
trying to-
late January or early February, because then they have to get back and work on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So just, if there are hiccups, just be expecting it. Be ready for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 316 seems to be a very small patch so far, so it's really the big thing is the Jumptown 2
And the Gravlev rework.
and the Gravlev rework, which no one's really.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
if it works correctly, then the racing league I'm in is going to make
Ooh,
good
good
use
point.
of
Hey, I might actually.
if you got it working, I'd be using it for Jumptown. I mean, that's great
true,
way to
yeah.
get
That
in
would
and
be
out.
fun.
Go land like a couple clicks off, and then just zip
And you
in.
can have a buddy with you with the Dragonfly, so yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to be a lot faster than, say, a Cyclone. Definitely more maneuverable than a Cyclone. Or a tank.
And have a buddy with a railgun in the back seat.
Well, you can't use the weapons.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, but you could drop them off.
True.
Yeah.
Do like a hot drop.
Yeah,
Yep.
you can just get off the as it's moving. Problem. So yeah, you can just.
Lots of gameplay.
Oh yeah.
Yep, a lot of potential.
Look, either way you look at it, Jumptown 2.0 is. It's just a question of, do we get it this week or do we get it December 24th?
I think we're getting it the night of the 23rd myself, but that's just
or around then.
Gotcha.
It's just time zone wise. Other people.
Speaking of which, just since we're all here, let's see, that'll be the 20th. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll be available. If you're planning on just maintaining
20th,
your Mondays, I'll be available because that's only the 20th. So.
Yeah, so anyone watching next week's episode will be 50, and it will be on December 20th at 6:15 p.m. Standard Time. So mark your calendars, I guess. Yep. December 20th, 6:15 p.m. for episode 50. Where if 316 goes live, we'll I guess play some Jumptown stuff. Otherwise,
quick question for data.
Yeah.
Do you have any do you need any help with any kind of crew stuff?
Oh, for the race, yeah.
Right now, not really, but
Okay.
in the future, possible transportation, yeah.
All right, because I can blend the Cutlass Black. We can put some. Are you guys using Noxes or Dragonflies? Either way, it doesn't matter. Just throw a bunch of those on the.
So far, they've only done one bike race, and that was in space around one of the space stations because they don't handle real well on the ground right now.
Imagine if they use that
You know what I never tried to do?
What's that?
Can you do a space bike in the racetrack arenas?
I'm not sure.
I've never tried that. So
no,
I don't
we
know
can
either.
try that.
Hey, there you go. Something interesting to check out. But
I don't think I've ever been able to. I don't think it shows up in the selection menu.
Probably.
The bikes. I don't think they do.
Wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I'm not going to be doing any racing because I don't think my computer can handle it. Just as far as actually showing me what I'm racing through. But yeah, if you need any help or anything, let me know. I'm available.
Cool.
For like transportation or crew pit type stuff. I'll help
Ditto.
out.
Yeah.
Ditto here.
Huh?
Ditto. Like you ever need help with the racing stuff?
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with the practice races we were doing when we crashed into the invisible pylon.
When refueling gets in, that's gonna be an interesting addition.
Yeah, definitely, and repair as well.
There's
the Vulcan will be
to
freaking
do like
amazing.
pit stops to refuel your ship during the race.
It'll make the Vulcan super useful.
Yeah.
Refuel, repair, and for those
unfortunately
less than safe races, rearm.
Unfortunately, there's not much need for medics right now because
if you die,
you die. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can say we'll have a spare like a med bed so that you just get right back in the race. If you have you got a Carrick there, you got a Cutlass, and the Carrick has a bunch of extra bikes down there. You just respawn the Carrick and get a new bike and get back in.
Don't forget the 600i someday.
Someday.
Yep. Anywho, good show. Good one, guys, and I look forward to next week.
Yep. We'll see you guys all next week. Your call sign. Julios and I on Wednesday will probably be talking about more Halo stuff on Wednesday. So, for any of you that want to hear about Halo stuff, tune in Wednesday.
Cool. See you guys later. Drive fast, take chances.
All right. See you.
Remember, get 8 hours of milk. Don't do school, drugs, and whatever the hell it is. All right.